Hey, it's Tuesday, June the 5th, 2018. 4 days remain until E3. It looms on the horizon.
Yep.
In fact, exactly 96 hours, we will be sitting in front of the first E3 press conference.
Wow. That
11 a.m. Saturday.
Really kind of sucks when you break
Electronic
it down like that.
Arts. Yeah, this is your life. To help make sense of this madness, we have brought in an expert.
An expert in madness.
From the East Coast. Alex, it says here, Navarro?
Yes.
Is that how you say that?
Brad, can you play with Madness?
I don't know, can
I think you can.
Do they have the truck stick?
Yes.
This year's madness is going to be really good.
Everything's truck sticks now. It's
Sweet.
just truck sticks all the way down.
Oh, finally.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. It's a 0 hour.
Yeah,
guess.
pretty much.
I do want to say, apparently, corrections, we don't usually do this. The truck stick is not a type of juke. I got a lot of very passionate Madden fans explicitly saying it is not a juke.
Well, that's why we've brought Alex in here.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, tell us about the truck stick and what makes the truck stick so special.
I hear it's not a juke.
Well, so the juke is more of like a sideways motion where
Yeah.
you're sort of like trying to kind of dodge and fake out a player.
Is that the one where you dodge and then also spin?
It's more of
you
like
do
a
360?
It's like your lower body kind of like jerks to one side or the
okay.
other, and you're faking out and you're kind of moving side to side at the same time.
Okay.
The truck stick is really just more about just like bowling and like putting your head down and just bowling
Just
people
trucking.
over, just trucking them over.
So it's going forward.
It's more of a forward progress move. Yes.
Okay.
So how do you have a stick devoted to trucking if trucking always moves in one direction?
So you press the stick forward.
What happens if you push it back?
Then it's not the truck stick anymore.
I believe that you know what? Look, I never got good at running back moves in Madden. That's why I don't play Madden online ever because I'm not good at that stuff. You would need someone who's a little more well versed in the intricacies.
God damn it. I thought we had it.
Oh, you were the expert.
I mean, I'm the closest thing this website has to an
I
expert.
think this guy sold us a bill of goods.
I beat Vinny every year on the quick look.
All right. Okay.
Oh.
All right. That's your claim to fame.
Noted
huh?
sports expert Vinny Caravello.
All right. Former football player.
Offensive
fact.
lineman.
Is that?
He did play offensive line in high school.
All right. Don't get in his way. He knows how to truck.
He does.
I've seen him truck.
Yeah. He don't stop for nothing.
Nope.
Let's start with news this week because I think E3 kind of is half over.
It happened already.
At this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff popping off. I'm not sure all by choice.
Some is, some isn't, right? I mean,
even the ones that appear to be voluntary, you don't know because maybe something happened behind the scenes and they were like, shit, we got to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this is probably the biggest / most unexpected. Bethesda announced a new Fallout called Fallout 76.
Yeah, that was like one of the possibilities we floated last week.
Oh, that's right.
as
Yeah,
they were,
that teaser stream was going.
Yeah, as they were
at this
showing a
time last week.
Fallout-related teaser, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, could it actually be a Fallout thing? Like, what is... And
It is a Fallout
it
thing.
is a Fallout
It is a
thing.
Fallout-related thing.
It's weird,
enough,
it's
sure
weird
enough,
that
yeah.
the Fallout thing is a Fallout thing,
Yeah.
but...
I don't know about you guys, but the second I heard the name, I assumed it was this generation's New Vegas.
right.
Yes.
Like it was just, all right, it's a different studio, took their engine and assets and is going to make a spin-off Fallout in a different location. They didn't say anything about what it is.
Because
other than-
Vault 76 was the first one that opened after the...
was like 20
in the
years,
lore.
I think, yeah.
People have dug into the lore. I guess it's a control vault, so it's full of like Vault-Tec employees, not experimental people.
Hmm.
And they will be opening themselves into a world that has not really been reclaimed
Yeah.
by any society to speak
Yeah,
of.
I guess people. I'm not super familiar with the Fallout timeline, but people were talking like this will be the first game in the timeline.
Right.
Yeah, it's like right after the bombs drop, or 20 years after the bombs drop or
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But then here comes Kotaku,
Mm.
as they do, as Scoop's master
Ruining the video game.
Jason Schreier is wont to do. He's spoken to multiple sources that he trusts who say that it is not a traditional single-player role-playing game.
Mm-hmm.
It is, in fact, an online survival RPG heavily inspired by DayZ and Rust.
Yeah, and that lines up with some separate stuff that I think that we had heard
Okay.
about.
We can independently
Yeah,
sort of corroborate.
It's the sort of thing where it's like I've heard enough of that story to where when you hear this other part of it, you go, oh, okay, this fills in the blanks in the little bit that I heard. Okay, yeah,
sure.
yeah, now this makes sense.
Yeah, seems pretty credible.
Yeah.
Other people seem to also be confident
this is-
in this story.
Yeah, and I mean with like the base building stuff that they introduced in 4 and you know just the collective nature of the game, it makes sense how they could build this into one of those kinds of games.
Totally. Like the base building stuff in 4 always seemed cool to me, except that there didn't seem to be a mechanical point to doing it. It's
Also,
like,
I didn't think it was fun
Well,
at
I mean,
all, but that was
Yeah,
more
it
of a personal
just,
thing.
Like actually manipulating those objects and
Yeah.
building that stuff just sucked, man. I like the idea. Yeah,
But I do know some people that got deep into the
totally.
weeds with that
Yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
some people are always going to get into weird customization stuff.
Yeah.
But
And
there
there
was
were
no
mod tools that did help, like with
Right.
here's a 3D here's a third person builder that you can
Yeah.
use, and that stuff
But
is
it
just cool.
The thing it needed for me was just a unifying like meta layer of like, all right, generate these resources and then do this with them that you can't do any other way. Like, some actual point.
State
to
of
do
Decay.
it, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sure.
But yeah, I mean, you're them. You spent all this money building out this new Fallout engine,
Yeah.
and
Wait.
bunch of assets.
newish,
Newish. New engine.
like
Come on.
They added a
new
lot to
like. They spent a lot of money on it. Let's
Okay,
agree
all right.
on that.
Yeah, they spent a lot of money somewhere along the way making
Yeah.
Fallout 4.
So you want to get something more out of that,
Yeah.
and you don't necessarily want to go to the trouble of writing a new 100-hour RPG for this thing or hiring Obsidian again. So
Yeah.
here's a way for them to, one, leverage this thing that they've already spent a lot of money on, and two, try to enter a space that they maybe haven't like really tried to go after too hard with this like online survival PC RPG thing.
Yeah, so this story says that this project was originally prototyped as a multiplayer version of Fallout 4, with the goal of envisioning what an online Fallout game might look like.
And then the former Battlecry Studios is attached to this.
Yes.
Which is now
Bethesda
BGS
Austin.
Austin.
Bethesda Game Studios Austin.
Yeah.
I guess they were just acquired in March,
I want to say that they were acquired a while ago. The rename,
or maybe
Yeah.
the rename happened.
or that it was always a Bethesda studio because they were working on the game Battlecry,
Right.
which never came out. But I played that a few years ago, and
But I do remember them being called Battlecry Studio for
Right.
a weirdly long amount of time after Battlecry was more or less, shelved.
then I want to say that they pitched in on some Doom DLC. I could be wrong there,
Yeah,
but I
that-
think they
that might be right.
Yeah.
lent some assistance on some other projects.
This says Bethesda just announced in March that they had acquired them.
Okay.
But so there's a quote in here, if anybody cares, about the cancellation of Battlecry.
Oh, sure. I
Remember that?
as someone who played Battlecry.
Yeah.
Yes, I absolutely do care.
Maybe this happened and just flew under our radar, but I always felt like the book had never quite been closed on that thing. But let's see. In fall of 2015, Bethesda said, "We have concerns about the Battlecry game and whether it is meeting the objectives we have for it.
Yeah.
We are evaluating what improvements the game needs to meet our quality standards. The studio remains busy during this process on multiple projects."
Okay, I thought you were saying like a quote specifically about when it got shut down
No,
or
no,
something
no.
like that. But
Well,
yeah, no, they gave some statement
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean that maybe that studio was also working on Fallout 76 at that time because they mentioned multiple projects.
Sure. Yeah, the thing with Battlecry is it was a like a multiplayer focused game. It seemed like the sort of thing that would be free to play. I want to say it was a class based thing.
Did it never come out of beta? It was never
No.
like openly available.
No, I don't think it was. Maybe they ran some closed alpha. You know, I don't know how many people they let into a circle to play that game at any point. But I played it prior to an E3 some like a few years ago now.
Yeah.
And it was the sort of thing that was like, this is serviceable, but I don't know. Like, there are a lot of games trying to do this right now, so I don't know. You know, and as it kind of got further and further away from my time playing it, it felt like that space only got tighter. So I could definitely see someone looking at it and going like, this is not gonna like compete in this day and age.
Somebody at Bethesda making some pretty smart decisions about content in general. You know,
and bringing in other people for this stuff.
Well, the projects they have been choosing to greenlight and knowing when to kill stuff, like they seem pretty savvy.
It also just seems like they're doing some outreach to studios you wouldn't necessarily like. The fact that Avalanche is working on Rage 2 is kind of
That's
a wild
cool.
thing, but it's cool.
It's exciting. You know, like that.
The fact that they could get you excited about a Rage 2
Right,
is pretty
that is
unexpected.
the sole thing that is making me go like, oh, actually, if you took the Mad Max people and let them do something crazier and gave them another crack at
and
it,
the Just Cause people.
Well, yeah, with the I would not call them the Just Cause. Well, it's I guess it is that. No, it is. You're right. It is that. You're right. It is that studio. It's not the New York team that did the other Just Causes.
Yeah,
they made the good ones.
Right. Yes. So yes, you have the people that made the great Just Causes.
Yeah.
The kind of swing and a miss on Mad Max. Like there's something to it, but it didn't do it.
Mad Max was their emo phase. They did
Sure.
it. They were sad for a while, but hopefully now they've gotten that out of their system and they can go back to just being ridiculous.
They're working with a movie studio and a license. I could see.
It didn't have to be that. morose, man.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be.
Yeah. So that's, like have fun with it. A Mad Max game with a weird boomerang weapon that seems like at least how they're presenting it to hey, let's have fun with this. That could be a cool game.
You mean the wing stick?
Also, we know you're really
Sure.
excited for Borderlands 3, but that ain't coming right now. So
Yeah,
check it
I
out.
guess,
Here's our crazy apocalypse.
But yeah,
Our Crazy Apocalypse. That's the name of my new studio and game.
Our Crazy Apocalypse Studios.
Yeah.
Doom, Wolfenstein, Prey, now Rage. Like they're making smart decisions.
Yeah.
So,
They bought those IPs. Damn it, they're going to use them.
well, yeah.
They're
doing a lot of unexpected
They're going
stuff.
to use them, but
with
they're
it.
also going to do cool things.
Yeah,
with them.
they're doing
They're not
that's
gonna
awesome.
like waste them.
Yeah, there are plenty of worlds in which a reboot of Doom and Wolfenstein are just the fucking most rote dumbass
Just like
things in the world.
minus
and,
tier
yeah.
games.
It's like,
and
oh,
they're
that's cool that you made
the
another one, I guess.
shooting's fine,
Sure.
but it's boring. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. But if this had happened prior to those games coming out, you would look at a Rage 2 announcement and go, fucking whatever. Just like,
Out of ideas, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, sure, I guess.
I mean, that was immediately what I thought when I started hearing the words Rage 2 put together. I was like, that.
Even after that stuff, you were
Yeah.
still just like, I don't know. I feel like they have earned it on this stuff to where I'm like, okay, let's see what you
let's
got.
give it a shot. See what it is.
No, it's absolutely.
I'm willing to go with them on Fallout 76 until I see a reason not to.
I see that's the point where I'm like, okay, you've got something that is the follow-up to Fallout 4, which I think is where that format of those games kind of broke for me. And then you're evoking games like Rust along the way, and I'm like, that's just not. But also, I don't really care for State of Decay 2. That's not my kind of game.
Well,
period.
So here is maybe the most important or second most important line in this story after saying it's an online survival RPG. It will have quests and a story like any other game from Bethesda Game Studios.
Yeah.
So
See, I put in 300 hours of Fallout 3. I love the Fallout games. I love New Vegas. The thing that brings me to those games are the weird side quests, the weird characters you meet, the cool towns and stuff like that. So if this game has those, obviously it's, well, I don't want to say obviously, but maybe it won't be as expansive as 3 or 4 or New Vegas, but it's got to have that stuff in it for me to really care about it, because I'm not going to come to a new Rust. I don't need I played Rust. I didn't love Rust.
I don't even want to play old Rust. Yeah.
I can't imagine it is as formless and just meandering as those games.
But I mean, I hope it's also not as brutal as those games, because I don't want to. The idea of a Fallout game where I can lose hours of progress to raiders,
as opposed to the crash bugs and stuff like that.
Exactly.
that were in
I
Fallout
already
4.
have to deal with those.
Right.
I don't want other outside forces taking away my small little shack.
If this is like a blend, if it's like a blend of traditional Fallout and some of the survival aspects of those games, that sounds pretty cool.
If they can take away dog meat from me, then I don't know what I'll do.
What if you pay $4.99 to revive dog meat?
I'd do it.
$2.49 to put some armor on.
There you go.
and
How
then
about it?
And then he can't be killed.
do that
Dog meat
too.
armor.
I'd
I
spend
guess
anything for dog meat.
when they mention stuff like Daisy and stuff like that, I'm just not going to be into a game that goes in that direction too far. But yeah, there is a middle ground where some of that stuff makes sense. For me, where it breaks down is just I've done the building stuff in Fallout 4 and really thought it was pretty bad. But they probably know that also. Maybe there's a way to put this together into something that, well, whatever. There's certainly potential for this to be a cool game. I don't want to completely shit on the idea, but for me personally, I'm like,
And we're going to see soon enough as it is.
Yeah. Specifically in 5 days
Yeah, it seems like it.
for that press conference.
Maybe it'll be more like 3. Who can say at this point? They had to announce that game because they're on the hotel. They're on the Figueroa.
Okay.
So that mural is going up right now,
okay.
has gone up.
Great.
So they definitely had to announce this
That
game.
tracks.
That means E3 is happening.
Yep.
As soon as the Fig gets its paint job.
Fig's open again, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It looks, I've saw some pictures of it. It looks not,
Not figgish.
yeah. It looks kind of generic.
Yeah.
As opposed to the fucking rat trap
Yeah.
nightmare it was before.
That's
man.
right.
That was the beauty of the Fig, was that
I
it was a
know.
nightmare and no one should have wanted to go there. That's what made it
The
perfect.
one year we stayed at that hotel, those beds damn near broke my back.
I think I wasn't there. That
I
year.
have done E3 by sleeping on the floor of someone's room at the Fig.
that sounds like a good way to get cockroaches inside of you.
You're in college and you want to go to E3, you do what you got to do.
Yeah, no, it's hey. We slept on the floor of that fucking house that we Airbnb'd, and then on the last night there, saw a bunch of rats running around on the floor. but only after we had slept on those floors for about 4 days. So you do what you do.
We're in a different place these days.
I guess so.
Los Angeles. Speaking of game announcements being forced by things going out into the world, there's a new Assassin's Creed game coming out. It's called Odyssey, set in ancient Greece, because they sent out keychains to retail.
So that was the initial leak.
Yeah.
But then I think more info got out there
there's
after
quite a bit
that.
more. I've got a post from, I believe, 4chan that I can pull up here.
Oh, great. The best part of this is that we recorded the Beastcast when it was still a rumor. Like, Ubisoft had not said anything about it. And then, like, literally an hour after we finished recording, they put up that video on their Twitter account.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so they did end up confirming this. But yeah,
I like
pictures
it when,
of a keychain.
I like it when a company at least looks reactive to how the world works and just says, like, yeah, we'll have more to say soon. And doesn't just try to, like, play it off like,
I'm pretty sure they got one of their video interns to slice off the last 7 seconds of their
Yes.
E3 trailer, and it's like, all right,
Totally.
fuck it, put it on Twitter.
Exactly.
I don't care.
No, that's smart. Like, while people are talking about your game, have something to say, have a destination, something. I know of at least one game right now. I know at least 2 games right now that are out there floating around that, like, we definitely got emails that are just like, well, we're going to stick to the original embargo, so don't, please don't say anything about this thing that you absolutely played. And it's like, all right, that's ridiculous, but at some point, well, yeah.
Odyssey.
Yeah.
Odyssey.
Sounds like kind of a quasi-sequel to Origins.
But how, I mean...
2 playable characters. Can only play as one per playthrough. Characters have intersecting but different stories, different forms of eagle vision, different skills, etc. That's what
By quasi-sequel, do you mean it's going to be the same out of the Animus structure? Like, I don't know what quasi-sequel means in this context.
Well,
it's roughly the same time or close-ish.
Yeah, because Origins was very much the formation of the Brotherhood, and the DLC that came after that was the early years of the Bayek and Aya and their crew doing shit in Egypt.
Right, but
I think what I mean is it's like roughly contemporaneous with Origins.
Okay,
and again, most of what I'm saying is coming from this,
but not necessarily more Bayek, right?
No.
They're saying that if Bayek's in that game, then it hasn't been that info has not floated out anywhere, and it does not sound like you are playing as Bayek or Aya.
Right.
Let's see here. Kotaku says this will be out by March of next year, fiscal year. So maybe this holiday or maybe early next year.
It's probably this holiday. It's usually where they want those games to launch, right?
Let's see. Kotaku has also spoken to sources who confirmed the existence of this game, who said it will have dialogue options for the first time.
They're just going further in that Witcher direction.
Either male or female playable characters. This forum post says big naval component. I guess, which would make sense.
Yeah, that stuff was pretty deprioritized in Origins. Like, there are a couple of boat missions with Aya, but it's very much just fight these ships and then it's over.
Well, if you think about the geography, it's harder to have those huge naval battles. I mean,
yeah, and story-wise, they take place like sort of outside the realm of the Egypt that you're playing in. Like, there's one point where she's going to Rome, and they have just a fight out in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Whole lot of sea around this area. So
yes,
I mean they built the boat stuff.
Yeah.
It was cool.
It also sounds like that boat game that they made is not going to come out this year.
Right.
So there's room for more boat stuff.
Yeah, room for more boat stuff. The Ubisoft story.
A fleet system will be implemented where the player can give commands to AI ships that can be ordered to sail with you.
That feels like some Skull and Bones tech finding its way in there.
I wonder how much Assassin's boat tech is in Skull and Bones.
My understanding is that is they just took the framework from Black Flag and that stuff and then built a whole other thing around that.
Right.
And I wonder if that AI ship control stuff is maybe part of something that they pulled from what they were developing for that game.
What a weird... That's a really strange... I mean, obviously, a lot of tech gets shared across games at big studios, and, Ubisoft has a ton of studios working on every game and all that, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
But, that sentence you said is still nuts.
Yeah, someone took someone else's boat tech, added on top of that boat tech, and then what they added on top of that boat tech found it into the original game franchise's boat tech.
2 games with all this boat tech, and the boat tech getting swapped back and forth forever. And just nonstop boat tech.
We have to stop saying boat tech.
Never.
It's not. It's
literally
already not a real word, and it's sounding less like a real word every time.
Well, guess what? It's the title of this podcast now. So
It's kind of like how the
I'm looking for the hottest boat tech in town.
It's kind of like how the swing tech from the new Spider-Man apparently came from the parkour tech or the traversal tech of Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah.
Or it sounds like that, one led to the other.
Yeah. Why not?
Tech gets shared. Games are expensive.
I would love to know which studio is the one that's heading this one up. I mean, obviously, all those Assassin's Creed games are made by 9 different studios at any given moment, but
Right.
usually there's one in the lead, and I'd be curious which one is doing this.
I was going to ask, do you think it's too soon? Because they benefited so much from taking a year off and kind of remaking the game from the ground up to some extent, and now here they are again a year later.
They made a good one.
They did. They made a really good one.
I know, but if they only have a year after that, it's probably going to be another one of those.
Right, but I'm also... I think if a lot of people assumed that this was going to be a Watch Dogs year, and that's the big swap they're going to start making is Watch Dogs and Assassins, which I don't think Watch Dogs necessarily is.
Maybe it's not big enough for that. I don't know.
They also haven't made any illusions about their franchise plans for that beyond the second game at this point.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't.
They
think
haven't
they
really
have,
been talking
so.
about 3 year.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, that could still be something they show at E3.
Yeah.
It's fucking. I don't know.
I don't know. For me, I would be more excited about Assassin's Creed if I only got one every 2 years.
Yes.
They start to run together again once you've got one every
Yeah.
single holiday.
I mean, I imagine that this one, they probably started not that long after Origins kind of got going, and I imagine that they are probably using a lot of the same stuff that Origins did, so that probably makes things a little bit easier.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be a fine game, but
Yeah.
that's kind of the problem. What you're saying is that it will very likely be built on that same model.
Yeah. Whereas I think I would like to see what a Watch Dogs 3 would look like.
Sure.
On after Watch Dogs 2 being pretty good.
Yeah. A huge improvement.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you had the right idea for a Watch Dogs 3, that could really break through in a big way. But at the same time, maybe that's just my perspective on it, because my understanding is that those games sold super well.
Yeah.
Watch Dogs, when it finally did, that first Watch Dogs after getting delayed, when it finally did come out, was at a time the best-selling new IP of the generation. Then Destiny came along and whatever, but
And I know they gave two to a different team than the ones that made the first game, I think.
that sounds right.
But also, I don't think they've made any, they've had any discussions about, splitting that out over multiple teams so they can get that franchise going on, a regular schedule.
That game is also split out amongst teams, because I think, didn't Reflections work on that? And
But that was,
Reflections is doing the crew.
But that was, in a
these
support
days.
capacity.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's kind of in a support capacity.
But there's, that relay that they were doing for a while with Assassin's Creed. It was, 3 studios that I think that were, passing back and forth. One did Unity, one did Syndicate, that kind of stuff. I don't think they've talked about that with Watch Dogs at all.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I just Googled list of Ubisoft studios.
I'm going to say there's at least 30.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's more than that. There's 10 in North America, 24 in Europe, probably another 8 or so in Asia.
Let's see, Shanghai.
There's a lot.
They have 2 in Canada.
Let's see, North America, Ubisoft Montreal, Red Storm, Ubisoft Quebec, Hybrid Technologies,
Okay, yeah.
Ubisoft San Francisco, Toronto, Halifax,
Oh, yeah.
Saguenay, let's say, and,
All right.
and Winnipeg.
Check it out. Watch Dogs 3, The
Mhm.
Search for Satoshi.
Okay.
It's all about crypto.
Yep.
It's all about, you're making your own currency. You're taking down the big currencies.
Ubicoin.
And at the end of it, they reveal that by
It's
completing
real.
the game, you have mined for Ubicoin.
But not for yourself, for
Yeah.
other people.
Thank you for helping us continue to stave off.
You made some money for someone working at Ubisoft Kiev.
There's
Right.
a 4-hour-long cutscene where they explain the blockchain to you.
Yep.
And at the end of it, they're like, and you've been mining it all this time.
You guys ever run an app or hit a web page or something that asks if they can use some of your
I have
some
hit
of
a
your
web
compute
I
power?
have hit a web page where my virus scanner popped up and said, "This is trying to use some of your CPU power."
All right.
But I don't know that I've ever been formally asked.
I used a freeware application recently that downloads Windows stuff
Mhm.
from the Microsoft dev servers. It was like, hey, you can devote some of your horsepower to us to support our project. You want to do it?
I'm telling you, this game writes
No.
itself.
Yep.
So yeah, new Assassin's
Creed.
Creed. Who would have thought?
Yeah,
We should have thought, probably.
I guess
mean,
so.
kind of
yeah.
assumed. Well, that Walmart leak mentioned one. a
Yes,
few
it did.
weeks
It
back,
just
so-
said Assassin's Creed on it, but yeah.
So it seemed likely this was going to happen.
That thing's batting 1,000 now, right? As far as we know, every single thing that was on that
Yep.
leak has, at very least, seemed confirmed.
I'm trying to think. Let's see what was on there that hasn't been confirmed.
Just Cause
Just
has not
Cause.
been
Yeah.
confirmed yet.
Like there's a couple other minor things, but like most of the big stuff.
And I guess Borderlands 3, but like, you know, we know they're developing that. We just don't know when the hell that thing is coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's the new Half-Life 3.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
I don't know. Ask it a few more times on Twitter and maybe it'll become true.
Yeah.
Let's see. Bungie dropped kind of a surprise announcement at the end of last week that they are partnering with Chinese publisher NetEase. They didn't say this, but I guess it got reported to the Wall Street Journal that that deal is happening to the tune of $100 million.
What
is NetEase?
It's a lubricant.
Yeah, for your net. I think of them as like in the same ballpark as like Tencent, like kind of
these nets.
I feel like they would be a lot smaller than Tencent.
Yeah, they're not megacorp level, but
but I mean in terms of similar like online focus,
so like a conglomerate of.
NetEase develops and operates some of China's online PC and mobile games, advertising services, email services, and e-commerce platforms.
Okay.
It is one of the largest internet and video game companies in the world.
So what are they doing with Destiny?
They have invested $100 million into Bungie. Bungie didn't...
They put out all the Blizzard stuff in China.
Okay.
They operate World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, a lot of that.
There's some business synergy there already, kind of. Like Bungie didn't really explicitly come out and say exactly where this is going, but in essence, it sounds like this is going to enable Bungie's next thing after Destiny.
Okay.
So...
Right, because they're not owned by Activision.
No.
Nor is Destiny at the moment. But who knows what will happen in the future.
Yeah, I think we're starting to take bets, like long-term bets for like 5 years from now, or at what point does Activision buy Destiny from Bungie, or
just divest itself entirely?
I don't know about that, but you know, at what point does Bungie divest itself of Destiny and just be like, all right, cool, we're on to our next thing.
Or good luck to Treyarch on developing Destiny 3.
Or maybe they use this investment to start on another project and also shore up their control of Destiny.
Yeah.
Like this gives them more resources to have two projects going simultaneously, so they could just as well take control fully of Destiny.
Reform, Neversoft.
Okay.
Destiny skateboarding.
Great.
It's just like the Sparrow Racing League.
Nope.
But
I'm out.
But with skateboarding.
Man,
I'm out.
You had me.
You had me, and then you tied it to a bad thing.
I know it's bad, but still, come on.
Can you imagine Zur doing kickflip?
You can do kickflips with your Sparrow.
Do you think all those worms would fly out of his face if he...
If he's got a long enough grind, the worms just start to...
They get long. The worms get longer as your combo gets longer.
I'm just saying,
it's a journey thing.
Put Officer Dick in Destiny.
Okay.
And Darth Maul.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like we're probably not too far off from those types of cosmetics. Like I feel like all like, I was gonna say MMOs, but you know what I mean. Like all games with this type of monetization eventually trend towards just like, I don't know, what if you dressed up like a cop? What if you dressed up like Spider-Man?
What if your guardian was Bam Margera?
Yeah. Rest in peace to Bam.
What?
Nothing. Never mind.
Here's pretty much all they say about this deal. We've entered into a new partnership with NetEase to help us explore new directions. With their industry expertise, they'll empower us to build new worlds and invite players new and old to join us there. They'll help us support separate teams inside Bungie to bring our newest ambitions to life. And then at the very end, they say, we're grateful for the opportunity to welcome NetEase to the family. We have a bold vision to explore with them, but that is all a conversation for another time. And then also the longest paragraph in this 4-paragraph thing is about reassuring players of Destiny that Destiny is not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's...
They spend a lot of time saying, hey, Destiny is an experience that will grow for many years to come. We have exciting plans, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah.
All right.
Trying to make sure people don't
freak
out too much.
This might be a cynical take, but does this mean that their next game is going to be free-to-play focused because that is what works in China, and that is what they're expecting their investment?
When I read this, the first thing I think is that, this is like, some kind of free-to-play. That's the game where you get to play as not Officer, but a cop or something like that, because, I don't know.
Because that's what's working in China. That's what's working over in the Asian markets is those free to play games, those gacha games and stuff like that. Like I don't think that Bungie is necessarily going to make a gacha game, but a game that features heavy free to play influence wouldn't be.
There's already random loop drops. They're already halfway there.
Yeah. It's going to be a gacha game, but also all the lore for it is on these cards that you view on a website.
Yeah.
and it's the most well-written lore for one of those types of games you've ever seen.
But you
all
have to get
animals.
those cards through a gacha system on
Yeah.
the website.
It's crazy. Thomas Jefferson's a big lion. It's fucking wild.
This deal just happened, so I have to imagine this other franchise is a long ways off.
Yeah, probably.
Um,
Plus, they're still pushing, Destiny 2
yeah,
stuff.
they announced the year 2, the big fall expansion. Oh, they gave a date. September 4th is when Destiny 2 Forsaken is coming out. This happened like minutes before this podcast started. It's set in the Reef. Anybody remember that?
That was the other social space, right?
Yes, it was the second social space from. It's basically a bunch of wrecked ships where people hang out.
Right.
Yeah.
God, what's their blue space elf race? The Awoken.
The Awoken,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's where they hang out. That's where the Queen was from the first game.
Right.
There's a new raid set there. I mean, it's an expansion.
Yeah.
There's plenty of changes, but you can go read about that stuff if you want. But I didn't have time to get my head around this stuff. But it seems like the big news here is that it's going to be $40, like Taken King was for the first game. But there's also going to be a $70 version of it with an annual pass.
Yeah, so it's
But I'm not super clear what that extra $30 is going to get you.
What does any
they have three more content drops planned.
Okay,
Uh,
so
the-
those will be the next DLC packs.
Yeah, basically. So
Okay.
it's a season pass for year 2.
Okay.
It
Okay,
seems
that
to be what
seems
is.
sensible.
But so Forsaken is theoretically a more substantial thing
it's
than
$40
the stuff they put out so far.
I would assume it's roughly the size of Taken King
Okay.
or similar to that. In fact, they even like. See if I can find this line.
So I'm going to say those DLC packs so far did not entice me whatsoever to come back to
That
the
last
game.
one they put out was pretty bad.
I didn't touch it, so I can't say one or the other. I watched Dan play some of it. I was like, "Yep, nope, it's that thing again."
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Okay, so there's a place in the Reef, which is the new location here, which culminates in a raid called the Dreaming City, which they describe as, quote, like the Vault of Glass and Dreadnought had a baby. So, sure, the two best things in Destiny.
Yeah.
I guess-
And the other thing I think they're saying is that this zone and a lot of the new area stuff is some of the first content they've ever designed specifically as end game content.
Yeah.
It sounds like that, people that are very into Destiny and very unhappy with where Destiny at, or at least like tentatively excited about this stuff.
Yeah.
They're kind of making the loot drops a little more randomized again.
Yeah, they're doing the thing from the first game where weapons have random stats and perks and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is nice because, like, you got a gun once in original Destiny 2 and you were done.
Right.
Like, you didn't care anymore.
I just don't know that adding. Yeah. Well.
Yeah,
whatever,
it may
whatever.
not be enough, but all multiplayer is moving back to 6v6, which a lot of people wanted. I think there was a couple. Oh, there's a hybrid like PvP and PvE mode also coming.
Yeah, this sounded like you would
Like compete with another team to kill
kill
enemies.
AI enemies to build
cool.
up a currency,
Yeah.
and then you spend that currency to send big bad guys at their base.
Yeah,
type
so
stuff.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Anyway, yeah, $40, September 4th.
It's neat that they're still messing with the competitive Destiny stuff.
Some people
because
love it. Like
well,
some people
yeah.
are super into it.
Some people are into it, but then there's also a whole slew of people who don't like it and wish that they could have like just a mode that they could keep going back to.
Yeah,
they're done
so
with
this
the single
Gambit
player
mode
stuff.
maybe does. Well, it is a hybrid because it sounds like you will fight the AI enemies to build up your currency, but you will also fight players too.
And it sounds like that could have legs if it's cool. Like it sounds
Yeah,
like
sure.
people could get really into that.
And I know people seem excited about the move back to 6v6. They did some of that, like they rolled out temporarily, like, hey, we got a playlist that's 6v6, and kind of tested the waters with some of that, and people seem to react positively to it. So
Do they have a date for that stuff?
September 4th. It would be nice to see Destiny get back on track. All right. I know we say like every week leading up to E3, don't trust photos of documents floating around.
Yeah.
That said, I have a photo of a document floating around
Great. I
Folks, we
believe
got
it.
some documents here.
that implies that Fortnite is coming to Switch.
What?
You ready to drop?
Let's drop.
Drop my Switch? No, I want to keep that thing pristine if possible.
It's a Fortnite
Oh.
thing.
A bunch of people jump out of planes while playing Fortnite on the Switch.
Right.
how do you keep Wi-Fi connectivity in the air though?
Shut up.
Okay, all right, no,
That's
There's
That's
a
how- all right.
router on the plane.
okay, plane router.
That makes the most sense in the world. Them
Everyone's
putting that on Switch.
everyone's got a router on their
Yeah,
backpack.
yeah, totally, of course. Yes.
Like, it is the most underhand toss thing you could possibly imagine in
yeah,
that
it's-
system.
Yeah,
Like that's I don't need that leak to say, hey, guess what? Fortnite's gonna come to Switch
Yeah,
at some point.
yeah.
Like, Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
But there's some other stuff on there.
Yeah,
right?
so this is a photo of like, again, it's the thing we always say don't trust, but it's like a planning document for booth display.
But it's like it's a photo of a bunch of logo work.
Yeah.
It's not as
Yeah.
simple as just
It
like
is-
here's some game names.
Yeah. If it was a fake, they put a lot of work into it. But
Right.
I think there seems to be a fair amount of confidence that this thing is legit.
Yes.
So what's of note on there?
So Fortnite is the big one. Dragon Ball Fighters. These are all Switch games.
Right.
Dragon Ball Fighters is listed.
Cool.
A game called Killer Queen Black.
So there'll be an update to Killer Queen.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with that game, but I guess it's like an indie
It's an indie
Yeah,
arcade game. It was like
yeah.
a 10-player arcade
like a
cabinet.
physical
Yes,
arcade.
they
They
made
have it
physical
around
arcade
booths. It's
cabinets
really
for it.
cool.
Huh.
And it's this awesome thing that they only made 2 of them or something. So it was always this case of like, well, when are they going to find a way to get this out to more people? And it sounded like that they had been working on something where
Yeah.
they're like, hey, maybe we.
What style of game is it?
It's kind of like a capture the flaggy, like
Joust.
joust.
Is
It's
it
the
kinda deal?
gameplay
It's
is
like
kind of
side-scroll
joust
kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like 2D site. It's
Looks like Joust, basically. Kind of.
that's like the combat mechanic kind of, but then there's different like power ups and stuff. It's cool. They had it at a barcade here in the city for a while.
It's one of those games I've heard people talk about for like literally years, and I've never seen it.
And I believe the other thing I read was that the Twitter account for either those devs or the Killer Queen Twitter account or something like had replaced all their images with black images at some point. So
Okay.
like they were kind of building up to a thing,
All right.
which helps kind of lend some credence to this true thing.
The other unannounced games on here are Paladins, the free-to-play kind of class-based
Sure.
Overwatch-esque shooter.
I always feel weird, and maybe it won't matter in the grand scheme, but like online-only games on Switch feel like a weird fit to me because for the same reason they did on 3DS, of like the idea of this is a portable. If I go and get the Fortnite, what happens when I'm at my rooftop party if the rooftop doesn't have Wi-Fi?
You
You
Like,
leave that party immediately.
I guess so, yeah. But
sorry
like,
guys, I have to go home and play Fortnite.
I've got to tether my Switch to my phone to play Fortnite because I can't
Fucking
stop playing
have
it.
to play Fortnite right now.
You don't understand.
You just bring one of those Wi-Fi pods with you wherever you
Right.
go.
Yeah, so I just wonder, like, if developers even care about that or have any consideration for just like this is a portable system. What happens if you're without internet?
My guess is no. They just see the install base and are like, nope, we got to do this.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Yeah,
Speaking of Paladins, they announced Battle Royale mode this morning.
All right.
It's called Realm Royale.
We're at the point where you could have told me they released a battle royale mode 2 weeks ago. That they're yes. If you would have asked me before, like yesterday, if Paladins had a battle royale mode, my gut would have been yes. My gut answer
It was
would be,
already
"Oh,
there and
yeah,
had been
it's
there for some time.
sure.
Yeah. They have that.
I thought that this happened, but maybe I was
Oh.
thinking, did Smite? Is
No.
Smite doing one?
Smite.
No.
The other one.
The other one,
You
The
know
other
that
ones
one.
we play
Paladin
game.
Smite. There's a third that is just like this.
It's one of those
In my
ones
head,
that's
there's
like not
another one of
the
these
big
like
ones,
it's like a
but over
MOBA, but not. But it's a
there.
third
kinda
person,
like,
and then it's the games that weren't Paragon, but then Paragon went away, so I don't know what matters.
Battleborn.
It's kind of like gigantic,
No,
but not quite
Battle.
that big. but
No, not gigantic.
Uh,
Shit.
Oh, man.
it's like a loadout, but no, they got the privacy issues.
Oh.
So-
Not to derail the conversation real quick, but I was digging through Rock Band 4 the other day, just like some of the character stuff, and I forgot they had done Battleborn skins for your rock people in that game.
Wait,
So they have
really?
that
There
tall
are like
mushroom
two.
guy.
Yes, the mushroom guy is one of them. There are
What?
2 Battleborn skins at least in that game, and I looked at that and I was just like, "Oh boy, this is." I mean, you know, there's obviously music in that game that is obviously like a result of weird licensing deals
Yeah,
that probably
yeah.
should have never happened. But that one, that just struck me. I was like, God.
Well, they put what did they put? Claptrap in Dance Central? Is that what it was?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
They also put Archer from the show Archer in Rock Band at one point. So,
Okay.
like when they put Danger Zone
I was
out,
gonna
they
say,
released that
ugh,
skin alongside
That's
it.
exactly what I was going to ask.
Anyway, sorry to derail that. I just needed to mention that out loud to purge that from my brain.
Smite, Paladins, gigantic. There's a 4th game that might as well be this, and I
Not
can't.
Paragon.
It was something that had a battle royale mode announced.
Their Facebook page. I remember showing you guys the Facebook page for it. And I was like,
Yeah.
remember this game?
Now thinking about
And
the
I think my
Darwin
response was
Project.
no, it's not Darwin Project. 'Cause that's a different thing. That's not one of these. God,
Is it
how do
another one-word
Dota?
thing?
Maybe Dota. That's no. I think it was a one-word thing. Maybe it was just Paladin.
I think I think I'm thinking exactly what you're thinking, and I think it is just Paladins.
But that was weeks ago, and I guess it was a teaser image. Because they like showed some characters from their game dropping to the sky.
I'm just gonna
saying,
go to
You
my
need to know.
I'm gonna
You
go
need
to
to
my
know.
email and I'm gonna type in Battle Royale and see what the fuck comes up.
Blockchain. Is
All right,
what
well,
a
we'll
new
see you in
game.
about half an
Yeah,
hour.
wait, which has more results, Battle Royale or blockchain?
I created a filter for the word blockchain.
You know what? Maybe it's that they rolled out their battle royale this morning and announced it a couple weeks ago.
That
Okay,
might be
maybe
it.
that's
the
what
tweet.
it is.
The tweet from this morning says Realm Royale is now in early access on Steam.
That has
Okay,
to be
that
it.
has to be
they
it.
must have.
Alright,
They must have announced it.
All right, mystery solved.
Is it Battle Right?
Battle Right.
Yeah.
That's
Battle
what
Right.
Wait, that's
the
not
other one.
That's not a real game.
Wait,
Come on.
Wait, isn't that the Overhead game though?
I don't know.
but it's one of the games in the
Battle
ether.
Right Royale. New screenshots released May 24th.
Wait, they also announced Battle Royale.
Yes.
Fuck.
You're fucking with me.
Isn't
You're fucking with the guy who's here to visit. You're just like feeding fake game titles to me to try to mess me up.
Battle Royale, the anticipated MOBA/brawler and Battle Royale mashup coming to Steam in summer 2018.
Yeah, Battle Right is that Dota looking game that you
Yeah,
played
that's
a while
the
ago,
like
right?
team
What?
fight focused 3-on-3.
Sure, man.
God, man.
Whatever you say.
I hate
Not what
video
I was
games.
thinking of.
I can't do this anymore.
The Battle Royale should
Trove
be
is
coming
getting something called Bomber Royale.
in like 2 weeks. The Dota Royale should be out.
Paladins describes Realm Royale as the first class-based battle royale.
Cool.
Anybody? Anybody?
I don't know.
One last game that is unannounced on this supposed Nintendo booth's leak, which is Overcooked 2.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's only 9 games. Wait, what are the
which-
other ones?
Sure. That's all the new games. Everything else on here is
It's an
stuff
existing
like
It's
thing.
like Mario Tennis.
Mario
Oh,
Tennis
okay.
Aces, FIFA 19, stuff like that. If this document is to be believed, Fortnite will have just as many kiosks as Mario Tennis Aces.
Sure.
So there you go.
I mean, if
Paladin-
you-
We
Paladins-
should try and find all the all the Fortnite kiosks.
Done. We're
like
just
last
everywhere on
year-
the floor.
Because last year I remember there was like a bunch of different places that had Dota kiosks and a bunch of places that had like League stuff, and I'm sure there will be a little bit of that, but I guarantee you like every 5th booth is gonna have a Fortnite thing.
Yeah. Yes. I think there's a booth being generated in this building that will have Fortnite kiosks at it.
We're gonna find 100 of them and figure out which one's the best.
Right.
my hotel room will be a battle. Fortnite.
All right, Ben, what do you know about
Oh God.
Pokemon Let's Go?
Oh.
Wait, it's not Let's Go Pokemon. It's Pokemon Let's Go.
Pokemon : Let's Go.
It's Pokemon.
Okay.
So, from my understanding, I didn't watch the video they did, but I read articles about it. It is similar to Pokemon Yellow. If y'all remember that one, it had the little Pikachu following you around. So this will have that.
But that was like the only. It was a full-fledged Pokemon game, but it had Pikachu following you.
Yes. It had. This one's going to have either Pikachu or Eevee as the 2 editions.
Is it still 2 separate releases?
It's Let's Go Pikachu
Let's
and
Go
Let's Go
Pikachu and
Eevee.
Let's Go
Yeah.
Eevee. Okay.
And it's borrowing heavily from Pokemon Go. There are no more random encounters. Instead, you will see the Pokemon that you will be coming up on a la Go. It seems like this is their, hey, you know, 1 billion people downloaded Pokemon Go. What if you came into our ecosystem a little more and played this game that's kind of a hybrid between Pokemon Go and actual Pokemon? They were a little vague on what was going to be in the game. There's said 151 original Pokemon and 1 new Pokemon, I think.
Let's.
I remember talk about there being 1 new Pokemon as a selling point, which,
All right, I'm in.
yeah, I guess,
Only-
like, you...
Only the original 151 Pokemon will be available. There will also be some Alolan variants
Oh,
is
that
from
were
the-
introduced in Sun and Moon.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems like this isn't the next big Pokemon
Like that was my
game.
question. Like,
Right. No, there's
but
still
are we getting this instead of that?
No, I
No.
think
You
that
think
other
this is
thing
just
is
like a
still
stopgap?
happening.
Okay. Because this is coming out in November.
Yeah.
This is not that far away.
I
So,
think I asked
I
that
don't
same
know.
question on the after show last week, and people were very quick to say no. They said that this is still there's still a full fledged
Okay.
thing coming.
Because if they were just remaking 20-year-old Pokemon games,
Yeah,
that would be
that's
kind
the
of
thing.
depressing.
There was a lot of outrage, but really this isn't for. I mean, I'm sure Pokemon fans could get a kick out of this, but this really does seem like it's for the Pokemon Go
Okay.
first. Was your first Pokemon game, people?
What if we made a little more of a game out of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey You Pikachu, my first Pokemon game. Is it like that?
Yeah, I rented Hey You Pikachu from Blockbuster, and you had to rent
The
the
microphone.
mic, and I spilled cola all up in that microphone. Definitely stopped working. Definitely returned it to Blockbuster. They just took it back without any questions.
Excellent
asked.
work.
So if you were renting Hey You Pikachu from the Santa Rosa Blockbuster in, I don't know, 2000 whatever, I'm sorry.
I'm going to say by that stage, the people at Blockbuster had completely given up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there
There was nothing left.
Nope.
Anybody mess with this free to start Pokemon thing that just came out on
I
Switch?
downloaded it and
Randomly?
and didn't launch it yet.
Pokemon Quest?
Yeah,
Oh, what is that?
it's the cube-looking Pokemon. I am not 100% sure what it is. Yeah, it's Minecraft.
Okay.
I fired it up for a hot second
Yeah.
and then didn't continue on with it.
Okay,
But
so it made a great first impression, is what I'm hearing.
all the Pokemons are cubes.
Yeah, that
It's
sounds
Minecraft.
awesome.
That's Minecraft.
Cool.
Please, it's Pokecraft.
Thank you.
Oh God.
Let's see. A couple other stories this week before we move on. Avalanche Studios went and got themselves acquired, but not by Bethesda.
Yeah.
Even though they're making Rage 2. They were acquired by Nordisk Film, which this Variety Stories describes as one of the oldest movie studios in the world.
Yeah, they've been around forever.
Yeah, not a ton to say there. I mean, like they come, of course they say, we'll continue to operate as an independent studio. Nordisk Film will, with a century of experience from growing creative businesses, provide us with more solid founded blah, but you know.
Yeah, the
that
usual
stuff.
business reasons.
But it's mostly notable because Bethesda is totally in the habit of buying up the studios that make games for them.
Right.
And yet these guys have avoided that. I don't know. I mean, whatever. Maybe don't get too deep into it, but there's been some weird talk in the past about Bethesda's style of acquiring companies.
Well, that was the whole human head thing
Yeah.
around that other Prey 2, was that some of their tactics were maybe a little devious,
Little
depending
cut-
on who you ask.
a
But
little cutthroat, but yeah, Avalanche is not in that game. Also, this mentions that I totally always forget that Avalanche makes a whole line of hunting games,
Right.
which I imagine are probably actually the most successful things they do.
I want to say we played one of them
Yeah,
last year.
We've
I
messed
think.
with a couple of them too. The Hunter.
Yeah. No, it was you. Yeah, I watched you play
right.
it. That's what it was.
Yeah.
that's them, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
Yep.
get that money where you can.
Let's see. The head of Square Enix Montreal has come out and said that the Go games like Hitman Go and Lara Croft Go are no more. That's it. They're done.
They just not sell that well.
Yeah. Yep. Nobody wants to buy a $5 game on phones, according to them.
They're right. I hate that they're right, but they are. Like
Yeah.
nobody wants to actually buy games on phones.
Yep.
That's I know I'm in the minority, but give me a $5 game that I just put in once and there's no microtransactions and stuff,
Yep.
and I'll be set for months.
We are from a different time.
Yeah.
I liked the idea of how Nintendo did Super Mario Run. I just didn't like the game. You know, there was more of a shareware model almost of just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
hey, you can play this first chunk of things, and then it's a demo. Like, hey, do you actually like this thing? Pay this money to buy the game.
It's weird because that's exactly
Uh,
what this guy says. Patrick Naud.
Mhm.
Naud. It's one of the challenges we have today is the premium mobile market is diminishing. You've got more and more high quality free titles, so there are even fewer people inclined to try something that will not be free. That doesn't mean they won't spend in the game, but they want to spend on a game that they're sure they're going to like.
Yeah, and I think like those level-based Go
Yeah,
games,
yeah,
like
that-
it's a clear path of just like do the shareware thing of
Yeah.
just like, hey, this first pack of levels
Yeah.
is going to be free, and then buy the rest.
First 10 levels are free or something like
Yeah,
that.
like they could do that. Well, whatever. Maybe it's not worth their time. They probably have bigger fish to fry or something. But I don't know. I guess I was not expecting them to make any more of those because they made
Yeah.
those two and that was that. Like,
They made Deus Ex Go,
oh, that's right.
which
yeah.
I did not like quite as much as the first two.
Yeah, no.
I'd forgotten that even happened.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't even know.
I think
And they did the VR version of Hitman. Yeah,
The Hitman Go was really good.
Hitman Go was super
Hitman Go
good. I
was
think
cool.
Lara Croft Go was actually my favorite. That had some super clever puzzles in it.
But I guess I wasn't expecting them to do any more of these anyway. It was,
Yeah,
it
it
was
had
weird
been-
to have like headlines be like, they're not going to make any more of these. Like,
Well, I mean,
they made them.
He
That's-
gave an interview where he flat out said it.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
And I mean, I think there were enough people that liked them
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's noteworthy that they just said, nah, not anymore.
I guess I just had the feeling that if they were going to make more of those, they would have kept making them
Right.
and made a Hitman Go 2 or something like that.
Well, they're definitely not making
Well,
any more
yeah,
Hitman at this point.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
All right, last story.
Kingdom Hearts Go. Away.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the title of this podcast. Lastly, Atari Atari.
Wait, okay.
You know, Atari.
I mean,
I love
video
Atari.
Game, the video game.
That's
Have
the
you,
thing.
have you
Classic-
played Atari today? Yes, I have.
I don't know if I do know anymore, but go
The
on.
classic maker of video games, Atari. They launched the IndieGoGo for I guess what used to be called the Atari box and is now called the Atari VCS. Because let's just go all the way with this thing. And pulled in over $2 million in the first day and crashed IndieGoGo. So I guess people want that thing.
They broke the internet.
Oh shit.
Who owns that now?
This is a French company, so I assume this is in some weird way Infogrames. Is that right?
I think so. It's like a holding company that
used to
that
be
bought
that.
it from Infogrames.
Yeah.
Or I don't actually know.
I mean, they've been talking about the Atari box for ages.
Yeah.
And yet we still don't know exactly what's going to be in it.
I mean, that's so they actually do list specs.
No,
in terms of like, hey,
they've
here's
got
what the
connectivity. They don't have like CPU type stuff.
I think they do have some graphics hardware stuff on their Indiegogo page of just like, here's loosely what's inside this thing.
Let me see if they.
So to
added
be
that.
clear, this is a thing that plays old Atari games,
No,
or
So
it is
yeah,
a-
yes,
well, yes.
it will come
Yeah.
with 100 games or something on it.
Whoa.
It will have an apps like of the classics.
right?
They describe it as an open Linux based thing.
Yeah,
so
okay.
they're saying you
So-
can install whatever you want on it, but they will have their own like.
And they're
store.
trying to say like, hey, developers, contact us if you want to make games for this thing, which I just don't. You know,
So it's the Ouya.
yeah,
kind of.
Great.
But with a name.
except- but
and
with-
they're
but
also
with wood
saying,
paneling.
yeah, with wood paneling. Well, the wood
if you-
paneling's only on certain models.
If you buy
Oh.
if you buy the expensive one, you get.
Can I
wood
play
paneling.
Fortnite on it?
No,
I'm out.
I'm looking for.
I was gonna say if it was Android based, maybe, but it's Fortnite's not on Android either.
Yeah.
So
This,
Yeah.
this says it. This says
Yeah.
it runs Ubuntu.
so do I.
Incredible retro futurist design.
I do like the look of that thing.
It looks nice. It's a decent looking box.
Yeah.
I have to admit.
And it'll be, like they're like, hey, it'll be a streaming box too.
Yeah.
It'll do all that.
yeah, it'll do all
that
that
shit, y'all.
It'll do all that stuff. It's got a modern controller in addition to the kitschy retro.
Yeah.
Oh, and the
joystick.
stick looks like the.
I mean, I guess my immediate reaction would be you can do all those things, but to what end?
Right,
But I mean, I
yeah.
guess if they were able to raise a couple $1 million from people, there is at least some demand for whatever that thing is doing.
I guess, man. I don't like the classic Atari catalog, if you want to call it. Well, whatever. Yeah.
I mean, there
Yeah.
is a classic library
Yes.
there.
It has been reissued on Steam and PS4 and all these other places. There are plenty of places to get a lot of those games. If you want to play some fucking Yar's Revenge and you want to pay someone to do it like a proper legal way to play Yar's Revenge, that's out there. So the idea of selling this box on like, oh, we got the classics, like that doesn't work for me in any way. And they've been so vague about anything regarding current game development for this thing, which I imagine to mean, yeah, like no one's doing this.
Right.
Or a limited number of devs are doing this because they're like, well, whatever, we're going to do a Linux version anyway. I guess we could put it out on your store too. The whole pitch just sounds like it's missing a whole chunk of
Right.
like, here's the stuff you might play on this thing beyond like this vague Atari Classics thing. So I just don't. For some people that's enough. This thing's like $2.99 or something.
That's the expensive package. That's the
Okay.
one. That's for the wood paneling.
Oh.
But
I think $199 is
the
the
Vader
cheapest.
looking one is still.
$199 is the cheapest package. That's just the box, no controllers.
Well, okay.
Okay, well, that's missing a key thing there.
Wait, I'm sorry. What are you looking for?
Well, no, it's, you need
probably
controllers
need a
to play it.
controller.
Oh, well, it takes any control. Like they emphasize, like
Oh,
you
okay.
can connect any Bluetooth
It's
controller.
one
to
of
this.
those.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's definitely use whatever you got.
Yeah.
It's that type of thing.
Okay.
So they have added specs. I guess since I pulled that news story that said there were no specs, they have now come along and said that it uses a Bristol Ridge A10, which is an AMD APU, which you can get on various hardware sites for like $90.
Yeah.
So I don't know how fast that is. That's probably not nearly as fast as the current consoles, I would assume.
But it's
Fast
not-
enough
it's
to run
something.
Atari video games.
Yeah. It's not a Raspberry Pi.
No, it's
You know,
definitely got
that's the thing that
like-
I come away from it going like, okay, this has some amount of
yeah.
power
These
to
these
it.
these APUs are like 3 to 3.5 gigahertz. So like it's
Yeah.
got a Radeon R7. I don't know what that's comparable to, but yeah, it should be able to run some kind of decent ass modern video game, and not just Atari stuff. But I don't know. It could $199 for just the box if it does cool stuff, and you can just use a DualShock with it or whatever.
They're tricking you.
It might be okay.
They're tricking you.
I don't know. It might be cool.
They're tricking you.
There'll be a really good port of RetroArch to that thing,
Probably.
I guess.
And it looks kind of
you know?
Yeah.
I'd still rather have the speaker hat.
Yeah.
That's a
Did that ever
the
actually come out?
speaker hat. Yeah, yep.
Speaker hat.
The speaker hat will be dumb forever.
Yeah.
This Atari thing will only be dumb for a little while, and then you'll forget about it. So I guess I
boxes
see
come
what
and
you're
go.
saying. Yeah,
But speaker hats are forever.
fucking speaker hat.
All right. On that eternal wisdom, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with more in just a minute.
In today's fast-paced world, it can be nice to feel secure.
That would be nice, but I'm not sure that I'm ever going to get there at
Well-
this point. What can you do for me?
Well, what about Simplisafe home security?
I like staying home.
Yeah. Well,
So
hey.
I'd like to be secure there.
Well, hey. If you want to stay secure in your home and keep your home secure, this is a home security setup that you can get. That'll, it's got all these different parts that can keep people out.
Like robots that hang outside
Keep the
your
house safe. No,
look
sensors,
imposing?
man.
Oh.
It's gonna let people know.
It's like invisible robots.
Invisible robots and resilient. The thing about alarm systems, home security setups, all this other stuff is like, what happens if you cut the power?
Yeah, what happens if you cut the power?
It's ready for that.
Wow.
Yeah. What happens if they cut the phone line?
What happens if they cut the phone line?
It's ready for that.
Wow.
That's right. It'll still get the information out. If they destroy your keypad, your siren, it'll still get the message out. That's the power of Simplisafe.
We don't actually know what they do, but they're ready. They say
it-
they're ready.
It is ready.
Okay.
To keep you safe. To help catch the bad guys, the criminals,
No thanks.
the ne'er-do-wells.
Don't want them around.
Before they get in. That sounds like something that could be expensive, but no,
No?
it's $14.99 a month.
What?
That's right.
No.
No contracts and no hidden fees.
$15 robot? Sign me up.
It's a security system for your house. I'm not gonna. It doesn't. I had to go look at the website because what they wrote here is not 100% clear about it. But it's sensors and stuff.
Okay.
You put it around your home, keep things safe. It'll contact, the cops if things go awry.
It's like an electronic fence
Yeah.
around your house.
Sensors and stuff to keep things safe. It's pretty much invisible. It's got glass break detection,
Whoa.
all that sort of stuff. It's going to keep your home safe from intruders. And if someone does try to get in, it's going to let the authorities know, like, hey, something's going on here.
Yeah.
Even if stuff gets destroyed, it'll still get out. Cellular technology,
Okay.
Wi-Fi, wireless technology.
Signal is around us at all times.
Exactly. And it will
days.
use that signal to get the message out. All for $14.99 a month.
That's a deal.
It seems reasonable.
Yeah.
It seems reasonable. You can head over to simplisafe.com/bombcast for more details. That's simplisafe.com/bombcast.
Ben, we have to talk about Yoku's Island Express.
Fuck yes.
That's a good game.
Holy cow. It's okay. Did you play Game Dev Story?
No.
I did.
So you know how in Game Dev Story you would pick a genre and a type and just kind of
Yes.
mix them up. It'd be like, oh, it's an action chess game,
Right.
or it's this feels like it came from that.
Right.
This is a pinball platformer.
Metroidvania.
So
Metroidvania.
kind of. So Sonic Spinball.
Way better
Sonic,
than that.
Sonic Spinball if it was in a cohesive world
Okay.
and also didn't have Sonic.
Didn't we play? Was that Sonic Spinball we played on Friday?
Yes, it was like 5 minutes.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
way better than that.
Okay.
Yes.
Way better than that.
Is it better than Pinball Quest? All right, no, go ahead.
I don't know. So
I
you're
really
a,
like it.
You're a beetle pushing a tiny little spherical boulder that just happens to look like a pinball, and you show up on an island to become the new mailman of the island because the pterodactyl, who is the current postmaster, is flying the coop.
He said, some shit is going down on this island. I need to get out of here. Congrats.
You're the new postmaster, beetle.
There's something called the God Eater on the loose. I don't
Oh,
know what that
all right.
is. I'm out of here. And yeah, so it's cool. It's a platformer
Kinda.
first in that you don't have a jump. You just move left, right. But you end up kind of falling into these pinball tables, and some are bigger than others. Some are just a little loop with two flippers.
Some of them fit on one screen, basically.
Okay.
And then some are huge.
And then, some are just huge as you play, you're collecting fruit, and you are getting fruit just from the world, but then also from all the, there'll be a main objective, like collect these 3 little glowing purple things somewhere on the table, and then the door will open out and you can flip out, hit your guy out of there.
Yeah.
But then there's also going to be like, some pinball staples, like get these 3 lights lit, or rotate this thing several times.
Is it always clear, like the objective to get out of what you're going to, or is it like depending on which
sometimes
way
and
you
sometimes
want to
not.
go? There'll be different. Like,
It's
are there
very
multiple
open.
paths out of the pinball table?
Not that I've seen. I don't know. I'm not super.
Yes
deep in.
and no.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit past that first main village you get to.
Okay, I haven't quite gotten to the village yet.
And at that point, it really opens up.
Okay.
In fact, they just
Okay.
put 3. So there's like an overworld map with objective markers.
Oh, so is it less linear than that first area? The first section,
Yeah.
it's super linear. You're just going from pinball challenge to pinball challenge.
Yeah. In the next one, I don't know if I happened along just the correct path right away, but they put 3 objective markers in 3 very different places.
Okay.
And I just picked one and went
Oh
towards
wow.
it.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So
What happens if you lose? I mean, if the ball falls between the flippers, is
So at
that
the
a way to go?
A lot of them.
there's no death I've found. There's no death state.
So, okay. Well, first of all, so there are spikes under a lot of, what do you call it? The gutter? What is it? What is it between the flippers?
side gutters? Yeah, the drain.
Like there'll be like brambles in a lot of those, and if you fall through, you just lose some fruit. But it seems like you can always get more fruit. It's not like finite.
Yeah. So you
infinite fruit.
You start out by collecting up to 100 fruit, and you can use these to unlock like little side paths and stuff, and shortcuts and the like. But you're also constantly upgrading how many fruit you can carry just from pickups.
Get a
people
bigger
will sell
fruit
you
wallet.
them. Yeah, exactly. They call it the fruit wallet.
I think
actually.
like maybe the biggest thing to stress that I think is cool about the game is like it's not each pinball thing is not a self-contained pinball table shaped puzzle.
Yeah.
There are flippers all throughout the environment.
Yes,
Okay.
and they're color coded.
Yeah, so
like
it's
orange and blue.
and orange, and the triggers. I think it's like right trigger orange, left trigger blue. But so you'll see flippers, like single flippers, all over the place that let you do specific things.
Okay,
So it's not
is
just
it color coded? So any flipper that looks like a left flipper is always going to be the left trigger.
No, because they're not always angled.
Sometimes they're curved, and then
Okay.
they like
sometimes
go like this.
sometimes they're very very narrow. They're not full
Yeah.
flipper size. Like that's what's cool about it is they're integrated all over the environment in like really interesting ways.
and they do some cool things. So you still have full control. Well, not full control, but pretty good control over your character while you're in these tables. So if you want to, it kind of adds a little tilt element
It's just
to it.
like air control type stuff. Yeah.
You can like go down side paths by
Like you can, if you want to get over to the other flipper, you can just kind of angle one up and run off the top of it to jump over the gap. It does a cool little thing where as you go on the flipper, it lights up on the flipper, and so you can know okay, I'm coming up on the tip. Like as somebody who's not great at pinball, it's really helpful to have that visual feedback of okay, I know this shot, I need to hit it right on the tip. And just following the light that you create as you travel down the flipper is really cool because I can be like, okay, and go.
So that's what's given me legs, or I'm sorry, is what is giving this game legs for me, is that like pretty much from the first like major pinball scenario, like they start requiring pretty specific like skill shots to get out.
Yeah.
Like it's never, you can't just like sleepwalk through this game. Like you have to like play precise pinball to get through these things. It's actually really fun and
And there's
challenging.
tons of little you have party whistle that
Yes,
you can blow
like
at
the
any
first-
time.
Yes, I do.
The first active item you get is a party noisemaker, and I just fucking run around hitting it constantly.
And it's just like the interact button, and
Yeah.
sometimes you'll just hit it on a pot, and the fruit will pop out. But then sometimes you'll open a hidden path or something.
They've got enough different samples for the noisemaker
Yes.
in there that is fun to just keep
I
hitting
just
the noisemaker
hammer
constantly.
on it.
It's just a really goofy, joyous game. Like the writing is really silly.
It reminds me
the
of
music is
It
fantastic.
gives me a rare vibe.
Kinda, yeah. It's a little rarish. Like the art style is a little bit Ori and the Blind Forest, like hand painted looking, like very colorful and vibrant.
Huh.
It's just got like a great attitude, like a really good style. It's uplifting.
You have done more to sell me on this game than anyone else has up to this point.
Yeah, it's I'm really enjoying it so far, and apparently you're playing it on Switch.
Yeah, I've been playing in handheld mode exclusively on my Switch, and sometimes it can get a little muddy if it's one of the bigger tables. I'll have to hold it a little closer, but
Right.
other than that, it performs well. The frame rate's good. I needed a good plain game for the Switch, and that I think will be it for sure.
It's just fun to play pinball with an objective,
Yeah,
like a story-based
It's
objective.
always been a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Like Pinball Quest on the NES, like even just like these cool, weird ideas of just like, hey, we found a way to turn pinball into an RPG
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
like that. Like it's fucking neat.
and you get like different. Did you get the slug sucker? It's like a little vacuum that you can. So eventually, like there will be these enemies that appear on the table, and they just kind of explode if you hit them and launch you in different directions. But you get a power up where you can, if you're near them, you hold down the bumper button and you'll suck one up, and then you can use it as an explosive like somewhere else on the table. And so it makes me think that there's going to be a lot of these really weird items because you have a huge, not a huge inventory, but you got a pretty sizable inventory when you open up your menu.
Yeah. It seems like there's a lot of weird side stuff to discover. Like, did you find the Skull Gang juicery?
Yeah.
And they talk shit at you, and they're like, all right, we'll let you try once. And it's basically this super elaborate pinball sequence that you can't fail at all. If you go through once, you're done. And they spit you out. Did you get the thing where I hit a bramble a bunch of times over? I kept failing the same thing over and over. And then it fades out. Like, I guess you don't die.
The mysterious island?
But it fades out to some weird, like, underground room or island or something with, like, a counter on it. And there are these, like, guys in robes there. And, like, the counter ticks over. And it just fades right back to what you were doing. Like, almost in this, like, Dark Souls-esque, like, what the fuck is this? Like, I don't know what's going on. You know,
I forgot about that until you mentioned that. Yeah, totally.
Some weird stuff in there. So.
Weird. Cool. That's great. It's
what I'm saying is it's the Dark Souls of pinball-driven,
excellent
tropical island puzzle platformers.
I'm glad we finally got there.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool. It's like,
probably
like $20.
It's the coolest like weird genre crossover game I've played since like Puzzle Quest.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure,
that's high praise.
Sure. Yeah. It's definitely in that category for sure.
Yeah. I installed it. I haven't gotten around to it yet. But yeah, that's fucking cool.
Yeah. Like now I'm sitting here thinking
like hearing the description of it, it says this is a fucking 1000% up my alley.
I just totally wrote it off when I saw like pictures from it in the title. I thought it was just like another platformer.
Yeah.
The title doesn't necessarily jump out at you.
It mostly evokes the idea of, hey, we really like Yoshi's Island, so here's our spin on something like that. But
it's been downright repulsive. Looking out of the corner of my eye at the game's name and going,
I also think it was you that said, and I totally agree that it has one of the best late title cards.
Yes, the late title card in that game is fucking incredible. That was the moment I was like, all right, man, I am fully on board with this game.
Great.
It's really good. Music is fantastic also.
All right.
I picked up I played a lot of Switch this weekend, since forever.
What else you got? We need travel games.
I hopped in, can't do this one unfortunately, but I hopped into the Mario Tennis tournament weekend, I think they called it, which was their open beta. And I went in with high hopes because I'm a fan of both the Mario Tennis games. I think there were two. And wow, they really delivered on this one. When you go through the tutorial first time, they throw a lot at you, and it was really cool. So you basically have...
that was the case. Like, they had that Nintendo Direct, and I remember like sitting down or standing there and watching it with y'all, and I remember... Like, oh man, like I don't know, like how far can they go with Mario Tennis? It was always cool, but is it kind of just going to be that again? And as they just started walking through systems and more systems and more systems,
like
you're like
breaking
okay.
the racket.
Yeah, you're like, all right, fucking
super,
half of that Nintendo Direct was just mechanics from Mario Tennis. Like, it was weird.
Well, and also keep in mind they're pivoting off of that last Mario Tennis game, which no one really had any reaction to whatsoever. It was a game that just sort of came out and on the Wii U, and everyone just kind of immediately forgot about it because it just didn't really have much of a hook to it. I don't
even
think.
know the Wii U had it.
I remember it coming and just
was that part of that sports pack thing where there was like 6 games in one?
No,
I think they actually put out a separate.
I think they straight up made a Mario Tennis game. I had forgotten about it too.
Sure,
but I'm pretty sure that happened. I'm not just having a fever dream here.
No guarantees.
But this one seems like it has much more going on in general.
Yeah, totally. Jan, did you?
Yeah,
were you saying you played some of it too.
The tutorial definitely throws a lot your way, and then I was messing it up quite a bit. I was never really good at the original or Mario Tennis on the N64. This one, the tutorial is good. Hand-holding you, but when I was actually playing a match against someone, it got complicated real quick.
Yeah, so basically you have your 3 shot types. You have the kind of basic return, and then like a high one and a low one, like slice and lob.
Yeah.
But then you also have special, like, I forget what they call them, but they're like the show off moves, the one on the D-pad.
Yeah.
Basically that. Every character is different, and you only start out with Mario, Peach, and 2 others, and then eventually you could unlock more characters by playing.
Okay.
But at least the starter 4s all had similar moves where it would move you a certain space. Like Mario's was a big jump, right? These are like the signature moves. Mario's was a jump. Peach had like a floaty kind of thing, moves you would associate with these characters, but they move a set distance. And if you hit the ball after doing it, you get a bunch of super meter. You can also get super meter by charging a shot. Like, so if you have like perfect placement and you know the ball's going to come right back
then
at
you can just stand there and wind up.
Shot.
Yeah.
And then you can use that superpower for 3 things. You can use it to slow down time, basically, to get into good position. You can use it sometimes as a ball is returning, there will be a star spot for you to stand on, and you can hop on that, and then basically it gives you bullet time on your shot.
That's
so
every character?
Aim it. Yeah.
Not like a character-specific.
Yeah, anyone can do that, and it slowly drains your meter as you bullet time. And if you hit somebody's racket and they don't block successfully, which is you can also block instead of returning, which is,
So if it's a hard enough shot, you have to block it instead of return it?
Yes, otherwise you're going to take racket damage. And if your racket explodes twice in a set, you're done.
Okay.
You lose the whole thing.
Yeah.
I never had my racket explode.
I got someone's to explode at match point.
That must have been
Nice.
It
satisfying.
was pretty satisfying.
That sounds real fucking cool.
Yeah.
And then there's supers.
So if you
with
block,
full
does
meter.
that return it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you block an infinite number of times, or does that take
You have
do you
to
take
time
chip,
it right. It's basically like a parry.
Okay.
Where on the star moves you have a small window, and then on super moves you have like what they made it seem like a 1 or 2 frame window to block. It was like, don't try to block this unless you absolutely need to.
But so is it
Because if you mess up the block timing, you get more racket damage.
okay? But
That's
is,
kind of the
is it
trade-off.
always clear which shots need to be blocked versus returned?
Yes, because the only shots you really need to block are the star ones,
Okay.
which is when you jump up and get into bullet time, and the supers.
Okay, so the big shit coming your way,
Yes.
that's when you want to. Okay.
Yeah, normal
all right.
shots you're just returning as if you would in a normal tennis game.
Yeah.
And then there's supers, which are character specific, big moves that
I love big moves.
are either hard to return or will do a bunch of racket damage based on like Bowser is a power character, so all his stuff did extra racket damage if you hit it back.
Fucking racket damage. It was something they showed in
Yeah.
that thing, but I think even at the time I was like, that seems crazy.
All
but
of-
this sounds fucking great.
Fighting game Twitter was like blowing up about
Yeah,
it.
like so. Was this just an online test, like just
Yeah, so
online
they
multiplayer?
basically had a big like bracket where you could opt in at any moment, and you would get matched up with somebody, and if you won, you would produce or continue down a little bracket.
This sounds awesome because it sounds like almost depth of a fighting game, but not a fighting game. It's
Yeah.
like a one-on-one thing that I shouldn't say normal people, but you know what I mean. Like,
No,
if
totally
you're
accessible, like-
Afraid to get into a fighting game, this is kind of like that.
If you've ever played a video game tennis before,
Yes.
you could pick this up
Great.
and play it.
But a lot of like a high skill ceiling
Yeah.
from the sound of it.
The I was having a little bit of connection issues, a little bit of lag issues. I had probably 2 really good matches and 3 or 4 a little laggy matches, which is hard for a tennis game, especially with
Yeah.
the timing's very
I
strict.
mean, I remember like when they were doing those test fires for Splatoon, that there were like the early ones, there was a lot of weird lag and
Yeah.
stuff, but they'd mostly sorted that out by the time that game actually came out. So hopefully this is the similar situation, but also they need their online stuff to seem appealing right now, considering they're
yeah.
going to start charging people for it very soon.
True.
And yeah, like this is a thing that gets out there that's not Smash Brothers for people
Yeah.
who don't care about that.
Right, totally. That's huge.
And it's also like really one of the only big first party things we know Nintendo's doing this year, right? Like we assume Smash Brothers, but we don't really know. Do we?
I think they said Smash was
Did
this
they say?
year.
I thought they said something along those lines.
They might. They may have.
No,
I-
I think what they said is that the online service launches in September, and if you think about that logically, you would think that Smash would come out day and date with their online service,
or at least very close
yeah,
to
or at
it.
least extremely close to it.
But other
which
than
isn't
that-
guaranteed, I guess. But
I don't know what to expect from them. I mean,
Yeah.
I want to say rumors a few weeks ago were saying Metroid is going to be a big focus, but who can say?
But like to what capacity, and like is it going to
Yeah.
be playable, or is it just going to be
I mean,
a big
they
part of their?
introduced it last year, so you
Yeah.
have to imagine that, and they haven't said shit since.
Right.
So
It would look-
I would
it
expect
would look bad.
it to be.
It would look bad.
It can't be
for
just be a
Metroid was
different
not there.
logo this time.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But on top of that, I don't know.
Yeah. Labo. More
Maybe.
Labo.
I don't
I
feel
don't
like
know.
Labo clogged up some shelves. I don't know that it necessarily
Give us WarioWare, you cowards. This is all I have to say.
I'm with you.
like a nice Rhythm Heaven
Yeah.
something.
Maybe
Rhythm
not
Heaven,
on 3DS.
Yeah,
Wario's
sure.
Heaven.
Yeah.
Wario's Rhythm Heaven.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind. They probably wouldn't do it this way, but I wouldn't mind seeing like a Mario Galaxy 2-pack.
Oh, yeah.
That's yeah. I mean, that to me has felt like one of the big no-brainer things to happen that should happen at some
but
point.
on the other hand, they just put out Tropical Freeze for $60, and it's the exact same game, so they would probably put those both out separately.
Yeah,
if they did, but
I don't know.
I mean,
those games are older.
They're a little older, yeah.
That's true.
So it's
and there's more work they'd have to do on them to sort of HDify them.
Would they?
Well, I don't know.
I guess they would require motion controls, right?
Presumably, yeah.
Like
I mean,
that-
and the Switch could do.
It
I
could,
think, a
but
lot of that
that
stuff.
sort of starts constraining how you can play it portably if you have to pull
Yeah.
those things off and wave your stupid arms around. But I would still like to see those games.
They can
on
do
the
that
Switch.
work.
There's a way to make those games work.
That's
I
not
think.
unmanageable.
Or maybe
for sure.
Mario 3D World, just kind of continuing with their
Hey,
trend of
I
every
guess
every Wii U game coming out on the Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good game.
It's really good.
But I still feel like I guess I still feel like there's room for one big brand new thing.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yes.
There's no Mario. There's no Zelda. They need like
Yeah.
a big. Hey, I know that guy.
Kid
Kid
Icarus.
That was
It's
the
back.
first thing I was
All
going
right.
to say.
It's back,
'cause,
baby.
My brain is fucking broken too.
Yep.
I'd rather have Ice Climbers.
There you go.
Hogan's
I would
Alley,
take that too.
motherfuckers.
Yeah, why not?
Balloon Fight.
Okay.
HD.
Hey, look.
No, I'm
I
just
will-
kidding. Nobody wants that.
I want Balloon Trip. I want Balloon Kid, the Game Boy
Mhm.
game.
I can name some old NES games too.
Go.
Name one.
Okay.
Gyromite.
What? That's not a. Okay.
They're putting out a robot. There's your next Labo.
We're bringing back the power pad.
Man,
build
if you
Rob out of
a
cardboard.
Rob out of cardboard and then
Oh,
put motors
shit.
into it.
And it's like Alexa. It can do shit for you.
Of course.
but poorly because it's Nintendo.
Because
Yeah, you have to-
poorly because because Alexa's fucking great.
Fucking, that's what they should totally make a Rob out of.
You'd have to put gears and motors into it to
Yeah.
actually do the actual gyromite thing.
That's true.
Rob was cool.
Everybody needs a robotic operating buddy.
Yeah.
Rob is cool. He fought the subspace emissary from the
I would have
inside.
thought that too, and then I played Detroit, and you know what? Maybe no. Maybe we don't actually all need a robot operating buddy.
Fair. Did you like that? I know.
No.
I'm sure. I know you talked about it at length on the Beastcast. But
Yeah,
Not so great.
no.
Okay.
It's the usual pattern with those games, which is that it sets up some very cool ideas in a universe that maybe doesn't make a whole lot of sense right out of the gate, but you know what? There's some drama there. There's some characters that are potentially interesting, and then about halfway through, it just drops off a fucking cliff.
So it's a Quantic Dream game.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
How does it rank in the Quantic Dream Hall of Fame?
I mean, it's the best produced thing they've ever made, like in terms of just sheer technology and like visual design and all of that. Like you can tell they spent a lot of fucking money on that thing, but in the writing,
A lot of overtime, I guess.
yeah. But in the writing category, I mean, it's in that heavy rain category of like you just don't understand how like people or robots apparently work, because the robots in that game or the androids mostly just feel like people that he barely managed to write into a category where they seemed slightly android-like
They
for a while.
They got that little light right there, so that's how you know.
Does the light turn red when they turn evil?
Yes,
Does
and not when they turn evil, when they become deviants, which is when they achieve literally just beat for beat human consciousness. Like there's no like discerning
Okay.
factor beyond it. It's just like suddenly they start stammering and having emotions. Like it's just like a light switch.
I hope to reach that point myself someday.
Yeah. The most senseless thing to me about all of that, and I'm not to labor too much on this game because it's been out for a little bit and whatever, you can see people doing Let's Plays of it now, but like the one identifying characteristic of an android is they have that LED light in their head. And so it's like, immediately you are talking to an android and you're looking at an android because that light is just always glowing and spinning and doing stuff. So whenever one of the androids becomes deviant and wants to hide itself, all it has to do is pry that thing off, and then the fake skin just immediately closes over it. So you designed this android to look like a person, but created an identifying characteristic that could be extremely easily removed with no consequences whatsoever.
But isn't that the folly of man to make such a mistake? And that's why the robots are
Maybe
the
if you had
real
made
good
different
guys.
choices, they would have not. The skin wouldn't have covered over, and you can fuck the. Can you fuck the robots?
Oh, yeah.
You have to.
Okay.
All I'm saying is that the economy of androids and the way that androids are designed and applied to the world of Detroit makes no goddamn sense whatsoever.
Is there any overt reference to RoboCop since it takes place in Detroit?
Not that I ever saw. Maybe there was a branch somewhere where you
The
meet-
RoboCop branch where you
blow up a guy named Bob or something,
yeah.
and
do you like have sex with an android under the RoboCop statue?
No, nothing like that. As far as I know, the only movie he saw before writing this game was Blade Runner.
Nobody buys anything for $1.
Yeah, no.
Ah.
And there's some almost human stuff in there too. Like it is a little bit of a greatest hits collection of every android fiction.
So,
Like it's
so
the
you're saying it's basically near.
it's the trailer from iRobot, like that kind of shit.
But not the full movie, just
No,
the trailer.
no.
I watched the trailer.
No, it looks like they took.
I mean,
they
I-
just
I-
took the scenes from the
To
trailer.
be fair, I saw the trailer and didn't go see iRobot
Yeah,
either.
you
so
shouldn't. It's not good.
Yeah.
iRobot's okay.
It's not good.
It's okay.
It's not horrible. It's just
okay.
not good.
Will Smith gets to yell about robots, and that scene in the tunnel was pretty cool.
Yeah, but no, Detroit sucks.
All right. There you have it.
Yeah.
Alex, you play anything else you want to?
I haven't had a ton of time to play other stuff, but I did dig into that Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection,
Yeah.
which I don't know if y'all have talked a bunch about that yet.
A little bit last week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How's it tickle your fancy?
It's good. Like it's reminding me that I used to play those games a lot. I was never very good at them, but I used to play them a lot, and I kind of intended to just boot up a couple of them and just check it out and be like, all right, yeah, I played some Street Fighter, played some Street Fighter 3, whatever. And then 4 hours later, I had beaten the hyper fighting arcade mode and had gotten pretty deep into Street Fighter 3, which I've never done before. Really, I've never played much of 3 at all.
Yeah.
And it turns out I have a pretty okay Dudley.
Okay.
So yeah, but no, that collection is aces, and it has the typical Digital Eclipse archival treatment, which is nice.
We went through it, and I wish that more of it was translated. There are some key points that are, but then there's stuff like here's the Street Fighter design doc, and it's only kind of the first page, and then the rest of it's not. And I wish that some of the Japanese there was translated.
Yeah, there's some limits to it, but I feel like what is in there is pretty cool for the most part.
The characters with their names and special moves are some of the best shit some of the best words I've seen with my eyes in a very long time.
Is it how they got there?
No, it's
ideas,
characters that are Dick Jumpsy and fucking Shilke, or there's a handful of characters that just never made it to anything. They're hero characters they planned.
Or very early versions of E Hondo, where he's just a buff, skinny dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff in there, and it seems like the net code for the few games that are online is good. And
I had some real problems with it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds like that.
I've heard it
by and
all over
large
the place.
people. Yeah, I've had matches in it that were fine. It is capable.
Yeah,
but by and large, it was not great.
I've only played 3 rounds of Super, and those all seem to work pretty okay for me.
How'd you do?
I won 1 and lost 2.
I jumped into ranked on hyper fighting. And was beaten mercilessly. It was just okay, yep.
Yeah, I'm just good enough to get through the arcade mode on normal, and that's even with a lot of okay, I'm going to try this character for this one, and after losing 3 or 4 times in a row. So I'm not an expert by any stretch, and I'm definitely not meant for online competition.
Cool.
But yeah, that's kind of been my thing.
Kind of playing it as a museum piece.
Yeah. And it's just nice to have all those games in one space that is, currently hooked up to my TV, and I can just play them easily.
Sure. That's cool.
Yeah.
Jeff, I understand you've got, another lifted embargo?
Yeah, I've got a couple of racing games to speak about today. One is Team Sonic Racing, which has been announced.
Yeah, I guess that did get announced last week.
No, I think I guess the name got out last week, but I think today was the day. Or maybe they announced it.
Yeah,
Vinny Caravella's Future Game of the Year 2018.
Yes. Yeah.
I know that because I booked an E3 meeting for one Vinny Caravella to go see that game at E3 because he wants to see it.
I don't have too much to say about it because we will send Vinny to see it,
Yes.
and hopefully he will have more to say.
He's excited.
It is a team-based racing game, which but it is a mascot kart racing game as well.
But it's strictly Sonic Universe, right? It's not the All-Stars that the last one was?
Yeah, it seems like
so
it
no,
is.
no
Who's on
Ulala,
Team
no
Sonic?
Danica Patrick.
No, not yet. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
Who or what are the All-Stars? Because the name of that, what is the actual name is Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform?
Yeah.
It's
Is
just
that the
other
name?
Sega characters.
Who is All-Stars?
It's
the Samba de Amigo monkey.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's
Amigo's
just-
in
it's
it.
just
Ulala.
Ulala's in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Danica Patrick, noted
Danica
Sega
Patrick.
character, Danica Patrick.
Favorite
Yeah.
Sega.
Yeah.
character.
Team Sonic it's the Trinity. It's Sonic, it's Knuckles, it's Tails.
Big cat. Oh.
I put
Father,
in
the Son, the Holy
several.
Spirit.
I spent a lot of time at that meeting speaking about Big the Cat.
Sure.
which was not in the demo, and they did not. But I was voicing that Big the cat should be in this game.
Best Sonic character.
It's fucked up to me if you can play as Dr. Robotnik in that game, because that would imply that he's on Team Sonic, and this whole thing has just been a front to sell copies of their video game.
Well, Team Sonic the name of the game implies that Team Sonic is in the game, and doesn't necessarily say
they
that
could be a rival team.
Like the other team that was in the game was Shadow the Hedgehog.
He's certainly not on Team Sonic.
Fuck no.
What about Silver?
And is Silver the Bat?
No, that's Rouge.
Rouge was on Team Shadow, and then a third character.
Was it the White Hedgehog or Silver?
No,
the Silver Hedgehog?
I don't think so.
Which one has a gun?
Shadow.
Shadow.
So they've got.
Do you have a motorcycle?
No,
The fuck?
I don't think so.
If Link can ride a motorcycle in a kart racing game, then Shadow
like
should be able
again,
to.
it was a pretty limited build of the game. It was just like they have 2 teams in it, and you can play like one race more or less. So kart selection or anything like that, I don't remember seeing in there. It's not to say it wasn't in there, but also it was a pretty
Sounds
small.
like you just said it wasn't in there.
It was a pretty small build of the game, so hard to say. But they are breaking the character up into classes. So you have like kind of your speed character and tech character and power character, and you kind of have your team. And so it's about like, can you get all of your team to the front of the pack? Kind of point system type stuff, where it's like, oh, if you finish first,
so
third,
you're not
and
like
fourth,
3 people in one car.
no, you are in 3 separate cars.
Okay.
And you can transfer your power ups to other players.
Oh.
So if you pick up something and you're like, oh, this person needs that, you can kind of hand it off on the fly, not like driving. There's a button, you pass it, and then you can accept it if you're on the accepting end. And then there's an ult, you charge it up, and all 3 characters will get a huge something. Seem to be a speed boost, but I don't know if it's like that for every single team in the game or anything like that.
It's a gun boost for Shadow.
Yeah, it's an attitude boost. He gets really fucking.
You time travel back to the early thousands, and he has become king.
Yeah. That's kind of all I have to say about that. Yeah, that's a game that I feel like Vinny might have more to say.
Sure. He
about
will.
than I am. I'll be curious to see what he thinks about it. As I was playing it, I was like, I bet this is not the game Vinny is looking for. That was my feeling on it. There was something about it that I was like, I don't know if this is going to quite do it.
Is it the game his son is looking for?
Yeah, that's probably.
Okay.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
Who knows?
I don't know.
And
Tastes
then,
change as you get older.
It's true. Yeah. So maybe as the tastes change, maybe OnRush might be more.
Oh. It's more of an adolescent.
Yeah.
It's got a little more tude.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's got characters that will tap their foot and have celebration animations and all sorts of fucking badass shit.
So
Sounds pretty badass.
I looked up OnRush because I knew it was a former English racing studio turned current English racing.
Yeah.
There are a million. There's Blur. There's Split Second. There's like all those studios that made all those racing games that have gotten shut down and then reformed and made new racing games.
Yeah.
I knew it was one of those, and then I looked it up, and it was like from the makers of Drive Club.
And like there were some MotorStorm people. And, it's my understanding is that
so it's
like all the other driving games coming out now, it is an amalgamation of people who worked on some of those.
Okay, that's fair.
And also it is a dramatically different game than any of those. Like this is not a racing game in any way.
It looked like a race.
It is a team. It is.
You race. You drive a car.
You drive a car.
Okay.
Or a motorcycle. There are 2 motorcycles.
All
All right.
But it is a class-based, competitive, team-based game with creeps, basically.
What are the creeps? Are they
Other cars.
They're cars?
That you bash off the fucking road
All right.
to earn boost.
Okay.
So it's a team game. It's I want to say it's 2 teams of 6 in this. I believe that's the case. And they have a handful of modes. The default mode is basically you earn boost. You get near misses, you jump, you bash these fodder cars, you take out opposing cars, and along the way you earn boost. When you spend boost, that is fed into your team's score for that round. So you're driving laps around this track, but there's no first place, there's no last place.
It is a track. It's not like an arena.
Yeah, it is a
loop?
loop. It loops. And if you fall behind, it goes, oh, we're going to teleport you back to the action. Because it's all about you being in a pack of cars, smashing the shit out of each other.
Placement doesn't really matter?
No, not at all. Other than if you're behind them and your ult meter is full, you hit it and fucking bash through everybody.
So there are times when you would want to drop back behind
Totally.
the pack. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
And so as you spend boost, it fills your score for that round. And the first team to spend 10,000 boost wins the round. And then it literally goes like, you won that round 2. And it's like, and
Same
you
track?
never stop driving.
Oh, wow.
It is like 4 seconds and you're back in it driving
Okay.
again.
All right.
And
How many rounds is a match?
it depends. Like, it seems like in the single player, it's usually like a 2 out of 3, but online is 3 out of 5 for the most part. But depends on the mode also. So they've got that mode. They've got a countdown mode where both teams have a timer that is ticking down and gates are present. And as you drive through the gates, you add more time to your team.
Oh, cool.
So you
Just
want
your team, but
yeah.
not theirs?
You want to bash them away from, keep them from going through the gates, basically, if you can. And make sure you're hitting your gates.
Yeah, like I could imagine you could have some people devoted to defense and some people devoted to trying to hit the gates. Like
it's not. You're still driving fucking super fast. And
Right.
situational awareness. My single problem with the game, my biggest problem with the game is situational awareness really sucks. Because it's a third-person camera. There's no rear view. There's no other stuff. You get like little, you get the kind of red
somebody's coming up on
indicator,
you.
like, hey, there's someone off to your back left and stuff like that. But there are a lot of times in that game where you just take a bunch of damage and you don't know why. And it's because someone rammed you directly from behind. You never see it, and it happens so fast that you're just like, you hear the explosion noise and you go, what the fuck? And you're not sure what happened. And I think it's a really, like, that aspect of the game, you get used to it, but it can still be frustrating because you're like, I didn't really have a good opportunity to do anything about this.
Should it just have had a rear view mirror at the top? Like, would that solve the
something
problem?
like that, or a radar, a mini map, something like that. Something that gives you a better view of
button you
what's
could pull
happening
back
around
and
you
see.
or something.
Yeah.
If it was a top-down game, but it loses something there. That aspect of the game, I think, could have been handled better. Because that's frustrating. And the other aspect of it is that the who does damage to who stuff, and this is something that like Burnout has had problems with over the years too. Like, you slam into someone thinking that you're doing damage, but then you're dead, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, I deliberately went over here. It's like, nope, they curved over at just the last second, and the corner of their car touched the side of your
So
car.
it's like the calculation of who was
Yes,
slamming
the
who.
math just worked out in
Yeah.
this other way where you got fucked up,
Yeah.
and you're like, that's crazy. Like, I had all this momentum. They should have been bashed over. Also, when you get into the logic of it, you're like, anyone who doesn't use the front of their car should win because that's where the fucking motor is. But that's whatever. It's not a fucking simulator.
Right.
It's not a fucking simulator.
It is not a fucking simulator. And so they have other modes. There's a zone mode where there is a zone perpetually moving around the track, and you want your team to claim the zone for 5 seconds. And that one's probably even the fastest of all, like, between rounds, because, like, you take that zone, it's like new zone spawning, and then another one spawns in front of the pack, and you have to race up and take it, and whoever takes 8 zones first wins.
This game sounds cool.
It's cool.
It sounds really interesting.
It's a really innovative, like, it has a ton of really cool ideas.
And I can't think of, like, nothing else comes to mind immediately as, like, oh, this is another one of those. Cause,
Yeah.
like,
And it's
'cause
class-based.
it's not a racing.
So
it's like a racing game that's not a racing game.
Yeah, so you're picking different cars that have different abilities and stuff
okay.
too. You are filling a meter that gives you an ult, and so the different cars will have different properties to their ult. The general property of the ult is you go fast and fuck shit up. But, like, some of the bigger vehicles will be dropping out big neon-colored blockades behind them as they ult, and if you drive through them, you take damage. One of the motorcycles just emits this fucking wave of death behind it that you don't want to fucking drive in that wake because it'll fuck you up. And also the motorcycles are light and get bashed immediately, but they can do tricks in the air and are able to earn more boost. So you kind of have that situation where maybe for some of these modes, if you were going all the way down the rabbit hole and getting really good at it, I suspect there's a point where you start to think about team makeup. It didn't really seem 100% crucial with what I've played of it so far, but I wonder if eventually you're like, oh, well, we're going to want, if we need to earn a bunch of boost, we want 2 people on bikes, we want 2 people in the heavy cars to fuck up the other people that are on bikes.
What are you playing it on?
PS4.
Okay.
Have you been doing online?
Yeah.
They're pretty healthy community out there.
It just launched today, but yes.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
yes, over the weekend there were a ton of people playing it. And so
Sounds really cool.
And it looks really good. And I was kind of back and forth on the look of it for a while because I thought, you only see human characters when you're on the bike and you select a character and you can, you're unlocking skins for the vehicles and skins for the characters and additional tricks and celebrations and shit like that. It's Overwatchy in that way where you're earning a currency you can use to buy whatever you want, but also every time you level up, you get a crate. nothing in there for spending real money for crates
Mhm.
at this time or ever. I don't know. I don't know what the long-term situation with that is, but that's how it is right now.
Is there any single player stuff?
Yeah. And it's against the AI. You know, it's the
right.
same modes,
Hmm.
and they give you goals like hit 38 gates, and also win the match.
Are you unlocking anything?
Yeah, is there any
doing
reason to
this?
play
Okay.
the campaign if you want to just go straight?
You
to
are
online?
unlocking more cosmetics. You are unlocking currency. You're unlocking, it has like a banner for your player like Call of Duty would have, and you unlock a bunch of those just by playing that way as well. But I'd kind of just want to play the online at this point.
It sounds
Like,
cool. I want to try that.
It's-
Did I see some like GIFs coming out after the beta of like I could have sworn I saw some track that was like this Inception, like it was like on the water, but then the water was bending up at a 90-degree angle, and it was just some really wild looking.
I don't know.
Maybe I dreamed that, but I saw people saying like some of the tracks get kind of wild. in
There's an
that thing.
intensity to like I feel the same way playing it that I feel playing Burnout, where it is that edge of the fucking seat. Like I have to be locked in, and I'm then realize like I haven't taken a breath in like 9 seconds.
Yeah, your eyes start to
Like-
water.
Like it does shit like that. And so the tracks look really nice. I think some of the car designs are neat, and as you unlock them, there's some better ones deeper in.
Why do they call it OnRush? Do they?
You're building Rush.
Okay.
You're building Rush in
I
your
was gonna
meter
say
and-
like there's
yeah.
always
Yeah,
what is the rush in
Yeah.
that game? I
Uh,
always
It's a friendly robot dog.
yeah.
I was like seeing how games like introduce their weird
Right.
system that is in the name and
Yeah.
Right.
how they treat it. There's always just this
When you
air
get
of,
100% Rush, you pop your ult, and
Yeah.
that's a rampage. I don't know I forget what that's even really called.
Like,
Then Geddy Lee shows up. And
yeah.
it's hella prog.
And then suddenly the level takes like 23 minutes.
Yeah,
You're like,
right.
What the fuck are we even
You're
doing
in
here?
Canada.
It's weird time
God.
signature.
Yeah, it's a mess. There's weather also, which I
Hmm.
didn't realize. And so I'd been playing this game for a handful of days, and it was I think just last night that I hit upon a track that over the course of the match, it suddenly was just full on fucking sleet, sideways fucking snow in your face, like you can barely fucking see.
did it affect like your turning or anything?
It didn't seem like it affected handling, but it was like, okay, and there's like day and night and all this other stuff. So you'll get, there's like 10-ish tracks, but you will get variants on them that suddenly you're like, I can't fucking see shit for one reason or the other. And I was pretty impressed with how it looked.
Frame rate holds up.
Yeah, it's got I'm playing on a pro, and it's got a toggle. It defaulted to prioritize frame rate, and I left it there. So I don't know what it looks like if you flip it over, or what the other options even are. Yeah, I don't know. Like I want to know if it's something that's gonna last. Like like right now I'm having a fantastic time with it, but it's like that situational awareness thing is frustrating, and it's just hard to, and the math on who hit who stuff is like frustrating in a way. But like there's some really satisfying moments. The car I'm playing the most has like all the cars will have one little kind of almost passive ability. And they've built in mechanics to every little bit. So when you're in the air, if you hit boost in the air, you drop out of the air faster. So, and if you hit boost as soon as you land, you do an additional jut of forward of boost. And so there's a bit of a meta game around like, when do I land? Because you don't want someone landing on top of you. The car I'm picking has increased magnetism to in-air drops. So I don't have to be also it's really hard to line that shit up because you can't really control the camera. So you don't always know if someone's below you. But there are cases where you're like, I went off the ramp the same time as this fucker. I bet if I angle over to the right in the air just enough and fucking hit boost, I will drop on him and fucking kill him. And so picking that car with the increased magnetism on that has led to moments where I'm like, that like really satisfying. I did that to you and I will do it again type shit. Like it's got some ideas.
That sounds neat.
It's really neat. I could see like the people who get into it will get way fucking into it. But like in terms of like, is this like does everyone need to run out and buy this right now? Like, I don't know. I bet there will be people that really bounce off it because it's not a racing game. Like the skills it's asking of you are not the same as you get from most driving games. And also the angle and the positional stuff is just enough to make a lot of it feel random, or enough of it feel like you didn't have the control you wanted, or the awareness you wanted to deal with the situation. And that's been the thing most of all that has like made me push away from it a little bit. I'm having a great time so far, but I every time I go back to it, that stuff becomes just a little bit more frustrating.
Seems like the type of stuff they could tweak, maybe.
I wonder,
Just
or
balance
it might just
changes
be
and
something
stuff,
that
or-
as you play more of it, you get a deeper and deeper feel for it, and it's just not as much of an issue.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's maybe both are true. Like I've definitely gotten better at it as I've been playing, and better at thinking about like, okay, like sure enough, if I take a fucking turn wide, there's almost always going to be someone behind me that's going to fucking just T-bone me,
yeah.
and that's that.
Sounds really cool.
But also, I have T-boned the shit out of some people that way, and that's fucking rad. And yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it just sounds like a best of both worlds because like most car combat games, you're in an arena, which is not
Yeah.
ideal because
No,
you're constantly
you're
trying
trying to line up shots.
and you're
and
constantly
stuff,
like
and that
hitting the
sucks.
arena and having to turn around and
Yeah.
drive back. And like most lap-based games are racing games that
Right.
care about position and laps. You know, so like
This is like
getting
just
the best of both of those.
the
sounds,
core
sounds neat.
idea of like, hey, let's take this thing and pull the driving out of it. Like the tutorial becomes a must at that point because you go into it going like, all right, I'm in first place. Like, no, you want to be in the zone, which is behind you.
Yeah.
It'll say like, hey, fall back. The zone's behind you, and in that mode, and it's really I can't think of anything quite like it in terms of just like building these sorts of modes. Like you look at it and it just seems like a really strong competitive game that happens to be a driving game, you know, and it uses the skills you would have from playing a lot of other driving games, but it's still not precise. You know, it's not like, oh, I got to hairpin corner this. Like it's a very arcadey feel, kind of, you know, hit the handbrake and hope for the best type shit.
I hope people are still playing in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
Like if the community sticks around.
It's fucking neat. It's
Cool.
really neat.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything? Jan, you play anything besides tennis?
Just tennis.
Yeah.
Played a little bit of Overwatch.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's always hanging around.
all
I
the
keep
time.
I keep meaning to jump back into that.
Yeah,
It's
me
just
too.
been long enough now to where I'm just that much nervous about trying to recapture what I had with that game at one point.
Yeah, the new hero is pretty neat.
Is that Brigitte?
Brigitte, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a little more mobile Reinhardt.
Yeah.
And then the centaur robot,
Orisa.
yeah. It's neat.
I want to give a real quick shout out to the Mega Man 2 collection. I've been playing that, and it pains me to say it, but I think Mega Man 7 sucks.
It looks nice.
It used to be my favorite. It was my first, right? So I think that was a big part of it.
Yep.
Always remember your first.
But
Mega Man Alpha Theory.
God.
Your first is always your favorite.
Going back to Mega Man 7, just some of the stuff they do with like the mini bosses that you hit once and you have to wait for them to like blink for a while before you can hit them again, and they have very small weak
that
points.
the SNES one?
And yeah,
That was a Super Nintendo one. 8 was the PlayStation one.
Okay.
and I have to say I am really impressed by 8, which I never played.
Except for the part where you have to hear any part of that game. Yes.
I've been playing it without sound. So.
Okay, yeah, because the voice acting is some of the most PlayStation
Oh, is that where you
voice
get the
acting.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds all right.
Uh,
Had they already gotten into the weird animal names for the bosses at that point? Like they gotten away from the blank man.
That was all the X stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
I think
it was.
X trafficked in.
Because
of
like
those
even
bosses.
Mega Man 11 is still doing the man
Okay.
convention.
I thought like 11 was where they kind of like got back to it though. But I
I thought
I
9
don't
and
know.
10 had
Okay.
that stuff.
like Baseball Man wasn't Strikeout Man.
Oh,
I remember
man.
there was a baseball level,
That's
and
great.
the guy's name was like Baseball Man or something. I don't know. Those games are great. I have 9 and 10 up next, and like I feel like 7, 8, 9, 10 is a really nice little chunk of Mega Man history of like some older games, some newer games.
Big chunk in between where nothing happened really.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about the like 11? Like there's. Like,
I don't know what to think
I don't
of
know
that
what to
thing yet.
think. Yeah.
Until I get my hands on it and I get see how it feels and kind of see what some of those boss fights look like, I can't really make a judgment. I mean, I think they probably made the right move not just doing another NES style graphical presentation for that
Yeah.
thing. It's fine, like it's totally fine to evolve past that, but also I don't know, like those games live and die by level design and boss design. So as long as those are good, then that could be a great game.
Those games really made me going back. I was playing the first collection 1 through 6 a little while ago, and especially Mega Man 2. Like I'm not going to blow anyone's mind by saying that Mega Man 2 is a good video game,
Hang
but
on.
Right.
just some of the stuff they did with level design, like they really just went out there for like, okay, here's the appearing and disappearing platform stuff, and here's
my least favorite part of the game, but yes, they definitely went for it.
Stuff that like
Some of that stuff's in 1, isn't it?
It is like the
Yeah.
disappointing platforms are in 1, but like the levels in 1 are just not as
Yeah,
good. I mean,
no.
it's the first time they
1
did
is
it,
a frustrating video game to
Yeah.
return to.
and like the way they evolved all that stuff in 2 is I think the thing that has stuck with me over the
each
years.
level really feels unique.
Yeah.
And they just did a lot with a very simple engine. You know, it's really cool going back and
I think
seeing.
that carried over to 3, but after that, it
Yeah.
kind of started. It started a steep
Do
slope downward.
Do you feel that can you agree with the concept that the Mega Man 1 bosses are the best of all and the most iconic?
They're some of
and
the most memorable.
memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 2s are very memorable, and I think some of 3s are. But
I bet I could. Well,
Top 3 Mega Man bosses.
Cut
Quick
Man,
Man.
Cut Man.
Guts Man.
Quick man.
Proto Man.
does he
What-
count?
What is Guts Man? What is his thing?
He's a construction robot.
Yeah.
He's mostly there for like hauling
He just
like
has guts?
rocks and
Like, what-
boulders.
what do they mean by
He's
guts?
strong. He's big.
Ah,
He's-
okay.
He's cut.
Yeah, they
I
should have
see.
just called him Rockman, but then Mega
Yeah,
Man was
Yellow-
Rockman. So
Yellow Devil.
there's the yellow devil
That's-
is
I mean,
the
that's
devil.
Isn't that a
Yeah,
like,
Yellow
in-game
Devil's
thing?
awesome, but
Isn't that like an end game boss?
Yeah, that's one of the
Yeah.
first Wily bosses.
That's not a man.
Yeah, it's not a
Yeah.
man.
It's not a real boss.
Yeah,
it's not Yellow Devil Man.
I don't know. What are Airman,
Airman, Crash Man,
Crash Man,
Metal Man is
Pharaoh Man.
Metal
Bomb
Man.
Man is pretty good.
Yeah.
Magnet Man from 3,
Elec Man is all right.
Yeah, sure.
Ice Man, he's got a little parka.
Gemini Man. There's 2 of them.
I like Turbo Man.
Glimmer
in
Man.
7.
Yeah,
Because he turns into a
the
car.
Running Man,
Yeah.
Amy Man.
Juana Man.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Well, tune in next week for ranking of Mega Mans. We'll actually figure this stuff out for real. All right, let's take 5 and come back and read some emails. This week we have entrusted Ben with a most sacred duty.
Yes.
He's got the emails.
This week, they're B-mails.
Oh boy.
And I realize regularly Brad does them, so that B-mails would work for him too, but it's different because it's me. So let's just dive right into the emails. And I'm going to start out with a real thinker of an email.
What address did they send those to?
That is bombcast at giantbomb.com. You're still in charge of that.
There you go. Okay.
That's still
I see.
your duty for the rest of time. Hey, Bombers. You've been sent back in time and placed as director on your least favorite game or a game you really don't like. What is the game and how do you change it to make it into a game you would enjoy greatly? Signed, Tanner from OH. What is that? Ohio.
Yeah.
I was going to say Omaha, but that's
Omaha,
not a state.
not a state.
Not a state.
No,
I feel like
state of
state of-
mind.
I feel like we need to name games for each other that we hate. Because
Okay.
I can't think of a game I hate that I would want to
What's
like
a game that
because
you
I hate it.
wanted better? That you wanted just more
Yeah,
from?
like hate is a strong
Sure,
word,
because
I
you
think.
can't really fix games that you hate, because those usually have issues that is like one decision could not change.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just
It's
an
at some point you're like,
amalgamation
I would have made a completely different
of-
game.
Yeah, I
or,
would have
you know,
never.
yeah.
I would have canceled this in Inception. But yeah. What do you guys think? I'm sure you know. I'm sure I'm not the only one here who thinks about game design. You know, we play a lot of video games and kind of. Have there ever been games that you were like, I just wish they did this?
I always feel like I try to check myself every time I have that impulse because I just feel like that presumptuous asshole. I'm like, why didn't they just do X, Y, and Z? And there
Right.
are probably valid reasons why.
Or like because we had X amount of money
Yes.
and Y
Yeah.
amount of time
Yeah,
And Z amount of talent.
or
Yeah.
this wouldn't
Yeah.
have worked with that system, or like some reason I don't know about.
Yeah.
But,
when I think about stuff that like, you know, well, yeah, I would completely rewrite the script for Kane and Lynch. I would rewrite the
first one?
Yeah, the first one. A lot of the dialogue and characters, like those characters. There's a way to write criminals, some might say, in a way that makes them potentially interesting and maybe even endearing along the way. And they did not hit any part of that. And I think the shame of that game is that there's huge potential because it's the follow-up of Freedom Fighters, which was a fantastic game, with the potential to like have a Heat-esque script or Heat like
really hadn't been
gameplay
done
and stuff
in
that
video
is
games.
right. Yeah. So I think that there is a much better like yeah, you could tweak the gameplay in that a lot to be a better spin-off of the Freedom Fighters mechanics, because they didn't capitalize on those mechanics very well either. It was like an advancement from Freedom Fighters in a way, but like they forgot what made Freedom Fighters so good along the way. So I think those elements of that game, if you turn them around, that game should have been, hey, it's from the makers of Freedom Fighters, but with like everything you liked about the movie Heat.
Right.
And if you nail that, that's a huge game that I still feel like no one's done right.
I feel like the closest recent analog would be something like A Way Out,
Sure.
which has at least one scene in it that is the most direct Heat riff I have ever seen in a game that it absolutely does not earn at all.
Yeah,
I still want to play that.
You should play it.
The-
I mean, it's not. It's like
too.
6 to 8
I think,
hours.
I think
you know?
the thing I read about it that sort of piqued my interest, even though I wanted to play it anyway, was that somebody described it as like a European's idea of what an American prison break story.
That might have been me saying that, because I
Okay.
definitely said something along those lines on the Beastcast.
I can't decide if that makes me want to play it more or less.
Yeah,
but-
it's that weird filter of I consumed American culture through at least 1 or 2 degrees of remove from actually being, immersed in it, and so it's a little off in all those ways.
That's actually one of the feelings of one of the things with Kane and Lynch. Also,
Yeah.
is that it has this vibe of like you should have run this through another level of
just an editor, even
yeah,
just
someone
someone
to just like that's not how humans talk.
Yeah.
In English.
Who owns that IP at this point?
IO.
Did they-
My
did they
understanding
get
is that I think they have like mini ninja.
I knew they got-
I think the IO IP all went with them.
Come to think of it, when they got out of there, they mentioned like Hitman and Mini Ninjas. I don't think there was any mention of. They didn't come out and say, "Yeah, we got Kane and Lynch too."
Maybe they didn't. I
mean, I'm not saying they
feel like
don't. I'm saying they may have just selectively omitted mentioning it.
maybe I don't know.
But you think anybody does anything with that property ever again?
I don't know. Like that
Not sure
movie
what the
didn't
point would
happen.
be, yeah.
Yeah. But I thought that I had. Well, maybe we can get this out of them if we see any of them at E3. But I feel like I had seen something relatively recently that implied that they had the Freedom Fighters IP once again, which the assumption, and I feel like at one point it was stated that EA owned it, and that's why there was never a Freedom Fighters 2.
right. But it's possible that at some point that contract just expired and the rights
I wonder,
reverted or something.
Yeah. So I would be curious to know if they control that IP. Not that like I don't know, like at some point.
Like, is a new Freedom Fighters game necessary? But at the same time, like, no. But like, I could see them doing something really cool with it.
I think mechanically, Freedom Fighters was really cool in its day, and I think you could do something neat. Like it had interesting squad mechanics.
Yeah.
There are
You
a
know.
whole bunch of references to Freedom Fighters in the Colorado level of Hitman.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're thinking about it on some level.
But also, like in this day and age, what that game is a very different thing. Which is either shit, man. If you went all the way with it, you could probably tell an interesting story around that concept.
Oh God, I
today
just remembered what that game is about.
Yeah.
Huh. Sure.
You know, that it is a Red Dawn-esque story of foreign invasion.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway. Yeah.
Also, real quick, speaking of IO, I totally forgot to mention during news that a logo for Hitman 2 appeared on the Warner Brothers website.
Yeah.
I believe it was yesterday, or was it this morning?
Yeah, it was last night, I think.
Briefly, like it's gone now. The link is broken, but
And it said it appears to say Hitman 2 and not Hitman Season 2.
yeah,
What do you make of that?
probably a new game. I would have to guess.
But like Hitman Season 2 would have been a new game also, probably, right?
Well, I would
mean-
have assumed that would have plugged into the old
Oh, sure.
client. Like it
Yeah.
would have been the same download, just with more. Like I kind of
Like, I imagine it's going to be a whole new set of scenarios.
No, I mean it'll be a separate purchase. Like
Right.
We'll buy
Yeah.
Hitman 2
So
and
that's what I'm-
sit next to Hitman on
Right.
your dashboard or whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
It's designed to be broken out. It's not a continuation of the existing stuff from the
like
first
there
game.
may be valid reasons for that for
Yeah.
like engine purposes or whatever,
Right.
but like just having access to all the whole continuum of current Hitman maps and like being able to plug different characters into different missions and stuff would have been really cool. But
I think I always figured that when they got around to the next Hitman, that you would launch it separately, that it wouldn't plug into the existing
And I mean,
Hitman shell.
Destiny did the same thing. Like
Yeah.
there probably are just raw ass business reasons that it makes more sense to get out there and promote a brand new release.
Yeah. Also, just like you would want them to make enough technical changes that becomes hard, right?
Yeah.
You want
Yeah.
it to be advanced. You want it to
Yeah.
to move forward.
Yeah,
and-
I'm sure at some point, like adapting old content to a new version of the engine is like a bunch of manpower they'd rather spend on new content,
right.
if I had to guess. But I mean, whatever. They had said they were working on something Hitman-esque a while back. So
Yeah, and I guess that's
not a huge surprise.
They
but-
they had a countdown reveal for I think Thursday, like this week. So
Okay.
I think they were set to confirm that this week.
Okay. So we'll probably know going.
Yeah, it's
into
another
E3.
pre-E3
Yeah.
release.
I don't know what's left.
Hi, Bombcast crew. This is an email. I'm not just saying it
Oh,
to you guys. I'm not
okay.
just saying hi to you
Oh,
guys.
hello, Ben.
Hello.
Hi, Bombcast crew. I'm planning on driving from Toronto to Seattle to San Diego and back to Toronto this summer.
That's a drive.
Having never been west of Chicago in the United States, what is one thing I should do/see to understand Middle America? Second question, which gas station has the best fast food snacks? I think that one's harder to answer, more of like, what are the best gas station snacks?
Yeah, that's too
It's
regional to say a
easier
chain.
to kind of
Yeah.
answer. But what would one do to understand Middle America?
If you figure it out, let us know. I don't know.
I haven't lived in Middle America, so
I do think there is some value in, I don't know what route they're taking around, but just driving through the dead middle of the country and seeing just how goddamn empty
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
Mm.
I've done that trip, and yeah, just the drive and the wide open spaces are kind of mind-boggling.
The kind of
sounds
intense
cool.
isolation of
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is
Just-
something to grasp onto. I mean, I don't know. I'd go through Chicago and just kind of see the sights there.
Go to Portillo's.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think understanding Middle America is just understanding that like it is a place where people live. It is not necessarily a place where a whole lot happens in general,
Mm.
outside of like Chicago.
And the further west you get, the closer you get to a Jack in the Box.
Don't go to Jack in the Box.
Get the
What?
tacos.
No, go to Jack in the Box.
Go to Jack.
They're
Go to Jack.
changing the talk. They want to sell you 3 tacos and a drink for $3.
Those aren't tacos.
I could do that.
They are taco-like
I could
substances.
do that, but the 2 tacos is the quintessential fast food add-on. Like, it is the perfect 2 tacos for $1 is the quintessential. Like, I want to feel bad and I want to add one more thing to my order. It's $1. They're perfect.
Yeah, they're
ruining
perfect
the
little
sanctity of
like
it.
foldings of grease.
Yes,
But like at the time, they were changing the deal so much that there was a while there that it would be 3 tacos. There was a while where it would be 2 monster tacos. And now they have like different like
they have
types
like
of monster tacos
Monster
even.
taco.
there was one that had nacho cheese on it that I would say is worth the trip if you like grease.
And just one last understanding Middle America bit. If you can, I would say try and drive through Missouri, and you can see the most intense concentration of alternating religious and strip club billboards you will ever see in your life.
Ooh.
That's understanding Middle America right there.
Okay.
That's God's country.
Yeah.
Best gas station snacks.
You should probably get a Slim Jim.
Get some jerky, yeah.
Let's see.
Some jerky
All that
beef.
If you can
stuff
get one
has
of
to be
those
in
packs,
Canadian gas
that's-
stations,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
That's not
that's
like
no.
Can't be.
Slim Jim has
Come on,
achieved
we're
market
thinking more like,
penetration
Come on,
north
man.
of
It's
the
the same.
border.
It's the same continent.
Not necessarily like American, what are the quintessential American snacks. Just like
Yeah.
if you're on a big ass road trip, what are you taking with you?
I'm investigating the hot food.
The taquitos and whatnot.
That's such a gambit, though.
Fuck it, man.
The hot dogs on rollers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm gonna eat this and get in the car and go. Whatever, man. We're days away
then
from a trip
stop
to a
and
Del
then go and
Taco
then
at a
stop
gas
and then go
station.
and then
It's
we
like,
are.
That's
a life we're gonna live.
Eat
Right.
this questionable food and then be stuck in the car for 6 hours.
That's exactly the fucking barrel that I'm staring down right now.
That has powered like literally 24 E3s at this point.
I guess so.
Oh man.
Bad food and bad decisions.
Yeah.
I found a boba shop in a gas station.
Wow.
and
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was actually pretty okay.
I mean, it's just
Was
tapioca
it better or
balls.
worse than
It's like-
quickly?
It seems like it would be harder to really fuck that up.
It was better than quickly.
Okay,
All right.
And that's something.
Is Quickly good?
No.
Okay.
It is the 7-Eleven of
Okay.
boba.
I wouldn't
I've-
even say 7-Eleven. I'd
No,
say
yeah,
like,
it's
I was gonna say because I've eaten plenty of good food out of a 7-Eleven.
yeah.
Or I've eaten plenty of food I enjoyed out of a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
How about
Yeah.
that?
Spicy Big Bite.
Yeah.
Get one of those.
That's what they call me.
I like a fucking hot dog. And I get most of the hot dogs I come into contact with
Taquitos.
these days are at a gas station or convenience store.
I had hot dogs like 2 days ago
Nice.
at a Nathan's in Coney Island.
That sounds like fucking.
It's a
that
good way to
sounds
live.
Great.
Hot dogs rule.
I bought a corn dog at Safeway 2 days ago.
Hey, Safeway
Good
makes
job.
an okay corn dog.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I feel like
Yeah.
by the time I get to the Safeway, these supermarket corn dogs, though, they taste like they came out of a microwave and were placed under a hot light.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is probably what
Which
happens.
is, yeah.
I gotta go with combos for your fast food for your gas station food. It's the only time I'll eat them is if
Yep.
I'm on the road or in a plane.
Yep,
But
same here. Combos are they look like, remember Bones, the dog food with the
Yes.
little meat in the middle? It's just
Yeah.
those for people.
yeah,
Yeah.
For people. In
Oh,
quotes.
combos are okay.
Speaking
No,
of
I'm not saying I don't like combos. I'm saying that it's dog food.
They will sit at the bottom of your stomach and weigh you down in a way you need.
Yep.
All the sodium you need for the week.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of combos,
Uh-huh.
we got an email here. Ben from Chicago. I attended Combo Breaker this year in St. Charles, Illinois, and it was one of the most fun. It is some of the most fun I've ever had at a gaming event or otherwise. The crowd was cheering along with the intro cutscenes for Dragon Ball FighterZ and hyping up every single match, with everyone roaring along with Cell during his intros. My question is, what is the most exciting or hyped up event that you have ever been to, gaming related or otherwise?
Oh, man.
I feel like with E3 coming up, there's probably been some events you guys have gone to that people just went nuts for.
Insane Clown Posse, Sacramento.
Hell yeah.
Did you come to that show?
I don't know if I went to the Sacramento one. I went to the San Jose one.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I don't know. I went to one somewhere else.
Yeah, I went to it was in some shitty club in San Jose.
You made
it
a
was
trip
like,
to see.
I made a trip to see ICP.
It was like you. I think you were there. It was you,
Yeah.
me, Glenn, Brendan, and I think like Justin.
Yeah,
were
Justin
all there.
would have only been the only other person.
Yeah,
that-
and it was maybe 100 people in this very small club.
Yeah. It was a
Most
bad show.
most hyped up events.
Video game specifically?
or otherwise.
Just
Like high energy, people freaking out about something.
That Black Ops 4 thing I just went to, those people were losing their goddamn minds.
But that was more perplexing than it was like exciting.
Oh, I
necessarily
mean,
for you to be
I
there.
was more like, wow, man. Like, yeah. But that's,
and we just brought it up a couple weeks ago, but that I think it was 2013 PS4 or Sony press conference where people were losing their minds at $3.99 in Kingdom Hearts 3. And
was that all the same year?
Yeah.
Because the Kingdom Hearts, I don't remember
maybe
the
Kingdom Hearts
$3.99 thing,
was
but the Kingdom Hearts thing was like,
maybe Kingdom Hearts was separate from that.
yeah,
but
the year that Vinny and I snuck up front and they announced Kingdom Hearts and everyone around us was like the fans that they had definitely positioned up front, and we were sitting there surrounded. Like I wasn't sure if we were going to make it out of there. It's like people were fucking like crying, just losing their fucking shit.
Orgy of ecstasy.
They're like, I can ride Dumbo. I don't know what the fuck is in Kingdom Hearts.
Nobody does.
I can have sex with a Wreck-It Ralph.
Yes?
No.
Okay.
Okay. It's
All
fine.
right.
It's fine. It's my heart. aches.
Man, I'm trying to think of something else.
not a lot low key energy.
People go apeshit for free T-shirts.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
As a person that has shot T-shirts out of a T-shirt Gatling gun,
How's that feel?
Oh, that sounds fun.
it feels amazing.
Yeah, I bet.
Are you like turning the crank and it's like,
Yeah,
oh
just
wow.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And then just knowing it's a bunch of like high-level execs going apeshit for like a T-shirt that's 3 sizes too big, just somewhat
They
gratifying.
wouldn't get in on the action.
Yeah.
It wasn't like high crowd energy, but the Monkey King reveal at TI.
Oh,
it
yeah.
must have been year before last, I think, because it was like this 10 to 15 minute like insane choreographed drum performance. Like the arena was just like booming.
yeah.
Like it was incredibly well put together.
That
Thing was
cool.
like, it was kind of more like somber, but in a really intense way.
All right. This next email is not a question, but it's a story.
More
It's
of a
story
comment.
that I really enjoy.
All right.
And it's from one Elijah Belmont in Huntsville, Alabama. And we were talking about Charles Martinet a couple weeks ago, a man about the world, the voice of all the Marios. And here's a story about meeting Mr. Martinet. I worked at a GameStop for a number of years and eventually made it to a managers conference in Las Vegas. After a day of preparations, meeting Tony Hawk and Tim Schafer, and schooling some poor non-gaming manager at a pre-release setup of DJ Hero, I decided to spend my free time that night people watching at the bar. After about 20 minutes, Charles Martinet walked up and sat down next to me. I recognized him immediately and struck up a conversation. He was very nice and seemed happy that somebody knew who he was. He did some wahoos unprompted, grabbed a fresh drink, and wandered off onto the floor. For the next few hours, he would stop by every so often to grab a drink and would tell me stories about being the voice of Mario and say things in character. Every time he was a little more inebriated, and every time he would say things as Mario, it got a little less PG. By the end of the night, I heard Mario and Luigi, because he had started doing both voices to make it into one-man show skits, say every swear word, among other things I won't mention. It was a fantastic evening where many of my childhood memories of Mario 64 were tarnished forever. I can't turn on any Mario game now without hearing, "Here we fucking go," in Mario's own voice. Love the show. Keep up the good work.
Man.
Oh, that's special.
Charles Martinet sounds cool.
I imagine if you voiced like such a recognizable character, like a Charles Martinet or like a Hank Azaria, like just one of those voices of those characters that's so ingrained in people, you could just fuck with so many people by just having that character say anything.
Yeah.
Just talking. Like, can you imagine
any kind of non-canon?
Yeah.
Well, so that was the thing, is they would always like have him in some back room somewhere and have like the rendered Mario head or Wario head or whatever, and they had a camera on it so he could see, and it was just like this fucking TV screen with Mario on it, looking around, fucking with people.
I don't think they did every year, but there was
not
one
every
year
year
where he was there for like hours doing that.
Like back in the day, it was like he just was there, and
Yeah.
that happened pretty much nonstop. And I think they've realized that they need to limit that back a little bit. But
He, more than maybe anyone else in this industry, seems to have found his very specific niche, and it seems like he has embraced
Just
it.
living it
He
up.
loves it, and they take good care of him, and it is a good relationship, and someday they're going to replace him, and it's going to be the saddest fucking thing in the world. Someday.
Let's just kill Mario at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you kill that which does not live?
You rip up his hat.
Do you think? Do you think they would ever like retire Mario the way that like Disney has like kind of unofficially retired Mickey Mouse? Like Mickey Mouse is not exactly the focus at Disney anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's Pixar, it's all their other the properties they've
Marvel.
acquired. Marvel
I think
and
when
Star
it
Wars.
stops being profitable, maybe, but I don't know.
Maybe I don't know.
but it's not like they're constantly shoving Mario stuff down people's throats
I guess
either.
not.
I mean, there's a
Like,
lot of it,
Mario.
but-
I don't know. Mario makes a lot of cameos. We saw
lot
on
of
that
Mario out
IMDb
there.
page for Charles
guess
Martinet.
Yeah. But it's different every time. It's not like Mario Tennis is not going to burn you out on Mario Odyssey.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know that like character burnout is something that happens, because it's not like it's a weekly thing. It's a one time a year there's going to be a thing with Mario in it.
Maybe two of Smash Brothers, but
Yeah. And the lines of dialogue out of Mario in a Smash Brothers is pretty limited.
I'm a
So you-
punching you.
Yeah.
Die, fucker.
Yeah, like the classics that we
Yeah.
all know Mario for. So I don't know. And even in his main games, it's not like Mario talks a whole lot.
No.
So like getting burned out on the character, I think is a little bit harder.
Yeah, I think it's much more about like, do they run out of things they want to do with those games before they run out of like character
And
direction
also,
for it?
and around the time that they start to run out of that is when a new platform is released, and then they get to do it all over again.
Right.
So and bring back the
Forever.
things they did from the generation prior to that one. Like just bring stuff up. So it's
I think when Martinet's like ready to retire, when he's like pretty much done, they just do one more Mario game, fully voiced narrative, just like Mario finally gets his time to shine. As a
yeah, but halfway
character.
through development, they're going to replace him with Kiefer Sutherland.
I'm in.
Luigi, we gotta get.
Fucking what? Yes, Mario has much more lines of dialogue in most games than fucking Kiefer did
Yeah.
in that thing.
You're not wrong.
They only
Just
had him for a
Mario
day and a
under
half,
a
okay?
horse, just saying,
Do it. Do it. Do it. All right. This next question is a very simple one, but I could see it being very decisive. And it's from Hank in San Francisco. And he asks, is a Cheeto a chip?
Yeah.
No.
It's close enough. It's a snack.
More like a puff.
Yes, all
Yeah.
snacks aren't
Well,
chips.
No, a Cheeto is not a puff.
No, Cheeto is a
puff.
puff.
Cheetah's totally
Is it?
puff.
Yeah, it's
There
more of
are-
a puff.
More of a
the puffs are puffs.
puffs are puffs, but
But it's
Cheetos
puffed.
are a little too
They're still
crunchy
a-
to be a puff. I
They're
think.
still a
sure.
puffy item.
You can have a
I
crunchy
guess
puff.
so.
Look at those cereal, the like little rice cakes are crunchy puffs.
Okay.
Cheetos are rice cakes.
with cheesy dust on them.
Have you ever had rice cakes?
Cheetos
that
are
were
cakes, I guess, is my final
reconfigured
stance.
into chip form? Because that's pretty good too.
Yeah, we've been getting these like super thin,
Yeah,
super crunchy rice cakes. Those are good.
they're chips. They're in the chip aisle with
They're not
chips.
Chips. Chips are
I wouldn't necessarily.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
chips are two-dimensional.
Yeah.
No, they're just chips.
I
But
think they
whatever.
just occupy.
What about Doritos 3Ds? Those are chips, and they're not two-dimensional.
Oh, actually.
The name says right in it.
Oh fuck.
I think they're at least chip adjacent.
Chip adjacent, you might as well just call chips.
What about pretzels in the chip aisle?
Well, those are just pretzels.
Those are just pretzels.
pretzels.
It's a snack
But then
aisle,
the
though,
same
is the
thing.
thing.
Okay.
Cheetos are pretzels. Cheetos are closer to
Yeah.
pretzels than they are chips.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know. About
What
that.
the fuck?
What
are
about
Cheetos-
pretzel chips?
What are Cheetos made out of?
Those are chips. It
Corn?
says it in the name.
I don't think you want to know
Yeah,
the
it's
answer
corn.
to that question.
They're corn based.
Cocaine.
Okay.
That would explain a lot.
Chips are flat.
Chips don't have to be flat.
Chips have to be
I
flat.
think they do.
What about
Do we-
corn chips? They're curly.
Yeah,
Still
that's fair.
flat. If you take a piece
there's
of
still-
paper
there's
and
still, like,
curl it,
flatness
it's still
to them.
flat.
Yeah, it's just that it curls.
What about scoops? They're thicker.
They're flat that have just been curved on the sides.
Yeah.
So, like, chips get thick. There's a thickness to chips
don't
and a
have to
thinness
be.
to other types of chips.
they're still
that, like, what
broad.
if Cheetos are just fucking thick
They're
and weird
broad and
shaped?
thin.
Because they're circular.
You eat like a Lay's chip; those are pretty thin.
Yeah. But if you give me, like, some hardcore tortilla chips, those are going to be way fucking thicker. Pita chips are thicker. They're
Yeah,
still
they're
chips.
still chips.
Still flat.
If you take 8 Pringles and stack them up on each other, it doesn't turn it from one thing into another. It's the same thing, but it's just a bunch of them.
If I took a chip and then carved it into a oval shape, is it still a chip? What if it was a thick one? What if I took a chip that was as thick as a Cheeto and carved it into a Cheeto-like shape? It's
There's
still
no
chips.
chips as thick as Cheetos.
This
At
is
that
like
point,
some
they're puffs.
Zen riddle bullshit. There's no actual answer to this.
Cheetos are chips. It's not worth the argument because they're just chips.
They're just
They're sold in packs of chips. You get the variety pack. It's got the fucking regular. It's got the barbecue. It's got the Cheetos. It's got the Fritos. It's maybe got Doritos in it if you're getting the fancy packs. They're
Wait,
just fucking chips.
Are you saying Doritos are a higher tier of chip?
Doritos are fucking fancy.
they are a fairly high tier of chip.
Are they really?
No, they're not fancy, but they are a high tier
They are
of
a
chip.
high
Yeah,
tier
compared
of
to like a Lay's or something.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Or even a Ruffle.
I'd put them Ruffle equivalent.
I'd put
Now,
Dorito
Ruffles are
Ruffle
fancy.
Lay.
They got ridges.
When I think fancy, I think like a Sun Chip. Or
Kettle chip.
That's
Kettle
like
chips, yeah.
Kettle
chips
chips
are
is fancy.
That shit is like artisanal fucking chippery.
Hey, kettle chips are
but
good.
like
No, they're fine.
Like veggie chips. Maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those thick veggie chips aren't chips either.
Technically, all chips are veggie
They're
chips.
flat.
Because they're all corn based. Corn and potato.
Corn's a fruit. It's got seeds. Just ask Hip Hop Harry. Everyone knows this.
That's corn's a grain, right?
Let's move on to a question that's
All right.
maybe a little
Fuck.
easier to answer.
It's just chips because it's
not a
for the
chip.
same reason that all Kleenex is Kleenex. It just doesn't matter anymore.
Wait, is snack mix chips?
No, because that's got weird shit in it. That's chips and stuff.
Bagel chips aren't chips either.
I love chips and stuff.
Are they crackers?
Hi, guys. I've been listening to old Bombcast episodes, and one of them, Jeff, mentioned he had a Netflix disc of Windy City Heat lying around. I'm wondering if you ever got to watching it, and what did you think?
Nope.
Do you still have it?
Nope. I think I sent it back.
Okay.
I don't have a Netflix account anymore. Or a DVD.com account that they changed
Oh,
their
right.
disc
Wait,
service into.
It's not called Netflix anymore?
No, they.
The DVD aspect of it has
Whoa.
been sort of rebranded.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
I think.
You used to
I
have
haven't-
that, but it's not worth it.
Yeah, I haven't had the disc subscription in like probably 2 years at this point.
They had a follow-up if anyone could do a good Bobcat Goldthwait impression, but I don't think so.
Yeah. I can't. I'm trying.
It's hard. you guys, do you need like just?
No, you got it.
All right,
Alex wins that one.
It's just a lot of like weird,
Yeah.
like impulsive, like
Right, yeah.
sounds.
Citizens on Patrol.
Here's a good question from, and that's something I'm not familiar with myself, but
Good questions.
this is from George in Omaha. See that is he said Omaha, so
Mhm.
maybe that's why I got confused earlier. But I recently found myself holding a copy of Mortal Kombat Gold for the Dreamcast with a hot new sticker on it,
Hot new.
and it made me realize that I don't have the context for the release of Mortal Kombat 4. Y'all have talked about how big of a deal Mortal Kombat 2 was, and Mortal Kombat 3 was just a big of a hit in arcades, especially with its marketing campaign that hid the combat codes. I was wondering if you could tell us what it was like in the lead up to Mortal Kombat 4 in the arcade scene, and what your immediate thoughts were upon release, and how you feel about it now.
What year did 4 come out?
98, 99?
That sounds about right. I would probably say 98-ish if I had to guess. 97, 98 even.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
The reason I ask is I feel like I had kind of checked out of Mortal Kombat by the time 4 came out.
4 was a bummer.
97.
Yeah.
It was,
also,
it was the first one they moved away from the people models. It was the 3D sort of arena areas.
There had to be hype, though, for it,
step
right?
Stuff. So they did a truck tour where they drove a truck around with like a build of that, like an arcade cabinet before it came out, and drove it around to arcades and let people play it. And I know I've told this story before, but me and Ryan McDonald went to that. We were at GameSpot at the time, and went to the MK4 truck tour. We went to Golfland where they had it, and we played a bunch of MK4. Not a huge crowd had turned out for it. But if I remember correctly, it was like a morning, like a weekday morning that it was coming to Golfland. So is enough people to play it, but not a ton. We played a bit of it. Didn't much care for it. And then we were standing around, like it was this process of just like, do we want to like go through the process of like waiting to play it again, or should we just go? And someone walked up and said, "What do you think?" And I think we were both just like, "Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like the same thing. It's not. It just feels kind of bad." The I don't know how detailed we got, but the reaction was just like, "Nope." And he was like, "Well, my name's Patrick. I'm in PR for Midway." And I was like, "All right, hey, how's it going?" Yeah, that game.
I don't remember it
feel
being
good.
super well received when it
Yeah,
finally
no,
hit
definitely.
arcades.
No. And the first version that shipped widely to arcades was like fucked. It had like no endings in it or something. Like it was missing a bunch of fatalities.
That's an MK
yeah,
arcade release.
it was, but like
but worse than usual.
That was fine when the game was good.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Having a bad game hit arcades that didn't have any bells and whistles on top of that. And also, I think like they burned up a lot of their goodwill through 2 and 3 doing that stuff, to where by the time you get to this point,
even the animalities and brutalities in 3 were kind of pushing it for me in terms of like, all right,
the brutalities that was a trilogy thing only.
That's right.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just thinking about
A lot of the
animalities.
fatalities in 3 were pretty
Amazing.
well. They were amazing, but like also it was just a degree of laziness to some of like the way that character stuff was done.
By
like,
lazy, you mean amazing?
I mean, yeah, the part where you'd cut a dude in half and his hands would still be dangling there, like in the air, as if like his that shit was
amazing.
It was something.
Did 4 have dial-up combos?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay.
But not. I think they were even more universal.
And
4 had the breakers. It was like forward and low kick. You would do. It was basically a throw, but it would like you'd grab the guy's leg and bend it the wrong way, and then he would shake it out and keep fighting. And it was just like dumb. Like Mortal Kombat's always been goofy and silly, but that was like a mid-fight thing that was just like, this is weird. It had weapons. It had you draw the weapon, you could throw
That's
the
where they
weapon.
introduced that.
Later versions of it, there were like rocks and skulls on the ground that you could pick up and throw, and that stuff just wasn't cool.
Yeah.
It didn't look great. The characters they added weren't awesome. Reiko and fucking Kai and all this stuff.
Quan Chi from that one.
Yep. Yeah, that alone disqualifies it. I just looked it up. It came out October 97, so I was like deep into Quake at that point. Like that had supplanted for fighting games in competitive terms for me.
I ended up appreciating MK4 more as a home release.
Right.
When it wasn't something you had to go out and pay quarters to play and stuff. It was like, this is okay.
I think that was the first time I played it, was when it came to, was it N64?
Yeah, I'm trying to see what it came out
I think I
on.
rented
Was there
it.
a Dreamcast release?
Yeah, that's MK Gold is the Dreamcast version
Okay.
of MK4.
Okay.
It added Cyrax, I think. So it had like one new character for Gold.
But so wait, oh no, what was the one that had like
Oh, Baraka.
that was like regular Mortal Kombat, but it had like all the characters? Trilogy. Okay.
That was MK3 with a bunch of stuff,
But
right?
it just had added all the 2
Yeah,
and
that
1.
was like-
or
or
two
actually, I guess
characters.
they had like backgrounds from every game, right? Like
Right.
It was all 3 of
Yeah.
the original.
Yeah. But it was primarily just MK3 with like MK1 Raiden could run, but he had no run animation, so it was just his walk animation sped up. It just looked like a fucking ROM hack.
Yeah, it very much
But
felt
like,
that way.
and they gave dial-up combos to MK1 characters and didn't do any new animation, so it was amazing.
yeah.
We should maybe take that up sometime. That sounds bad.
It's fun.
I mean, we'll have to eventually look
yeah,
at it.
yeah,
Yeah. It must be
I
rated.
don't know if that game can survive scientific rigor or not.
Not many can, turns out.
Yeah.
Speaking of science,
Mhm.
what do you say? One more email?
Sure.
This comes in from Eric. I've been watching some fighting game quick looks and ranking of fighters and noticed something. Is the mercy round concept not a thing with y'all? I'm from the Philippines, and around the mid-90s when Street Fighter II was the thing in arcades, there was an unwritten rule that if you win the first round, you have to force a third round. You can still fight the second round, but the winner of the first round should always make sure that he does not finish off the opponent. I've seen the lack of giving a mercy round escalate to shouting matches and even fist fights.
Wow.
Thanks, y'all, for the hours of entertainment.
That is the
I'm
first
not-
I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with that at all.
So if it was someone that you were clearly better than,
Yeah.
and you were like, well, beating them is not going to be a problem, then yeah, I've done it. It was never like a full etiquette thing in any of the arcades I hung out in, but It was mostly with like friends
Yeah.
and stuff. Because when you're putting quarters in a machine to play it, you want to play it.
Exactly, and getting more time out, like having a third game benefits you even if you're the winner because you just get to play the game more.
Yeah. So I've definitely done it and had it done to me, but it was usually by friends in the matter of games where your quarters are involved. But no, like strangers, no, absolutely not.
That I imagine a line of people, and
we're not a merciful people, the Americans. We just want to knock people on their asses.
I know
rugged individualism.
In Smash, since it's a game that it's so easy to kill yourself in. Like if you go to do something cool, you can just fucking fall off the edge and die.
Yeah.
The concept of a homie stock is very cemented into the scene where if your opponent accidentally does something to kill themselves and lose a stock, you will just jump right off the cliff. People even do it in tournament. And I like that because it's less impactful than a whole round, right? Because if you have 4 stocks, it's just like, oh, I'm gonna just throw away one.
Well, it's also not about skill level. It's just about, hey, you fucked up, so I want to keep us on an even playing field.
Yeah, like I like that, but I've never really come across this. I've definitely like you were saying, kind of maybe gone easier on somebody, but not like with the intent to stretch it out to a third round on purpose or anything.
Right.
I just thought that was that shows one of those weird cultural divides where I would have never even heard about this. But who knows if this was specific to this guy's town or whatever.
Right.
But
Yeah.
if you have more arcade stories like that about weird local arcade traditions, we'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss hanging out in arcades.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're sort of making a weird, like they've kind of made weird comebacks in the past, but I see more and more people talking about them, kind of popping up. Even
It's
outside
neat.
of a Dave and Buster's,
Right.
We're in a weird kind of mid-renaissance, I think.
Yeah, it was weird to see people talking about Killer Queen. And it's just like, oh yeah, it's this new arcade. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? And they don't make arcade games. What are you talking about?
They do, man. That Halo arcade game is coming out.
Yeah.
Raw Thrills.
Sure.
There's a big crazy Space Invaders like wall filling
Oh,
ticket
yeah.
machine that looks great.
The Space Invaders, I forget what it's called.
And they're making a new Daytona, right?
It's out. They did,
that came
did
out?
make it. Yeah.
No, that's a Pusha T album.
Mm.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
7 tracks.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can race them backwards too if you want, but that gets dark.
Here it is. It's called Space Invaders Frenzy.
Oh yeah, I've seen pictures. That
and
thing's
it's like
crazy.
4 huge LED screens. It's similar to old. It looks like a Light Bright, right? It's similar.
Yeah,
but
it's
you
cool.
have 2 player. It's really fun. It's also the loudest arcade game I've ever played. It's really cool.
But also a
Bombcast.
thing I would probably play like twice.
Yeah. That's exactly how many times I played it. I think I'm
Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
If you want to email us,
Yeah.
you can send them in to bombcast@giantbomb.com.
All right. And on that note,
We won't have emails next week.
no, we will have a podcast though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We will record that later this week. You will be recounting everything you saw in LA that you haven't been able to talk about thus far.
Yeah, the rest of that stuff, which I'm not gonna sit here and say like you got it. I saw some stuff.
Yeah.
And
And
then we'll talk about like
what we think is going to happen.
right.
I started. I don't know. I started having some misgivings about how we do that yesterday. I started thinking, like, should we really save all of our E3 predictions till after everybody knows everything that happened?
I love the idea of that because we're instantly wrong.
Well, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like we're not putting it out there so people can speculate about it and then go, well, those guys said this. It's
they must
more
know
like
something.
right, yeah. It does. It's none of it is that. It's like here's what we think about it, but you're not going to hear it until you know the truth, and then you'll listen to what we have to say and go, you fucking idiots.
Yeah, sure. I guess there's value.
I love
in
to
that.
be wrong.
Yeah.
Uh,
At least you know they are genuine predictions and
Yeah.
not just us talking about what we heard.
If you're sticking around live, stay tuned for the after show.
Indeed. And then, stuff will be happening sort of this week. I mean, New York is doing some quick looks.
Mhm.
We don't have much of
Our
a studio
stuff's on a
here.
truck.
Yeah.
So
Truck left yesterday, so we don't have a whole lot of stuff here.
Yeah,
And we all leave on Friday.
yeah, but I think
Yeah,
they
we're
are
leaving
looking
Friday.
to get OnRush up out there.
And I think Yoku's Island Express,
Yeah.
hopefully.
And Vampire, I believe, is one we're also looking at.
Yeah.
Why did they release 2 very cool video games right before E3? That's very inconsiderate of them.
Hmm.
I'm not going to have much time to play either of them.
Well, they'll be waiting for you when you get back.
I have never traveled with a Switch before. I have not been on an airplane since I got a Switch. Y'all have like Switch kit
I just have a case
that you
for it.
travel with?
Yeah.
Okay, but you don't fiddle with weird charging bricks or anything like
No,
that?
no, no. I just
No,
have the charging cable.
Okay. 'Cause there's all kinds of big USB-C batteries out there.
And the
It's
plane line's
such
only going to be,
yeah, it's a
hour
short
and a
it's a
half.
short flight, so in this case, not a huge deal. I'm excited to play real video games.
Yeah, it
outside
was
of my
really cool.
house.
The first time I did that was PAX, and,
Yeah.
and it was kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, yeah, stay tuned for the after show and whatever else we got going on this week, and then from there, we'll see you in LA.
Ooh, yeah, cool.